Nam aloha, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. And let me just get the comments up to make sure people, okay, there's some people here. So if you could put your name, if you want to, and where you're logging in from, and your astrology and human design, if you know it too. And if you don't, go down to the information box and you can get your free chart there, especially your human design chart. So you can learn more about the system that I use. So Mercury went retrograde, but that we're not out of the woods yet, right? The energy is just really, really intense right now. So let me share my screen here. I want to get out of this, actually. There we go. Just let me get all this little set up here, and then we'll get into it. Okay. It always takes people a little while to log on to. There we go. And then make me a little bit smaller, move me over there. Okay, so this is the new moon. Whoops. Overlays here. Okay, there we go. We're not ready for astrology yet for the signs. So stick around if you've just logged in, especially if you're new to my channel. This, you'll learn about a little bit about the system that I'm using, and also what this is all about in the shadow pattern. So let me do that first. So this is the new moon transit chart according to human design. Okay. So how this works is there's something called the neutrino stream, and that comes from the sun. 70% of the neutrinos come from the sun. So these are subatomic particles that have information that can work. They can move through solid objects, and they carry information. And it's called it's the programming. It's the conditioning field that we live in, right? We're swimming in neutrinos constantly, and this leaves an imprint. So this is the transit chart. It's like just like astrology. You'll notice the astrological glyphs there, and we've got numbers 1 to 64, and they correlate to the hexagrams, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching that comes from the Book of Changes, the most ancient spiritual book on the planet. And then the chakra system, right? The chakra system, and then Kabbalah, how the circuitry works. That's human design in a nutshell. This gives us lots of information. So this channel is all about your evolution. It's not about like, oh, will love come or will money come? It's like, no, this is about you evolving as a spiritual being, having human experiences. We're going through a huge transformational process right now. We're moving into from the Piscean age into the Aquarian age. We're moving from the cross of the planning into the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So you have to really keep your focus of like, oh, I'm here not to just survive, right? Not just for survival, but to evolve as a species. So you're going through your own evolution right now, and we're in a really pivotal time, like right now. It's a huge mutation that's happening. So I'll go into that. So how this works is we're going to see more and more solar flare activity. There were three huge solar flares that released last week, and they can bring up a lot of emotions. And this is also part of our evolutionary energy that is supporting us, right? So this triggers, especially the solar flares, changing the frequency of the planet in the magnetics of the planet, right? It's penetrating through the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and then our electromagnetic field, or our aura. So this triggers ancestral memories to start to release, right? And this is our junk DNA, which is not junk DNA, right? It's a storehouse of our ancestral memories. These come through as emotions, right? Stuck emotions in the unconscious. So fear, anger, grief, those are the three main emotions. So this could be anxiety. You can throw anxiety in here, depression, in here, all the things that we describe our emotions with words, but they come back to these three frequencies: fear, anger, grief. These start to release, right? And these are the shadow patterns that release from our DNA, so we can correlate those back to the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, or the 64 shadow patterns. And this comes from Richard Rudd's work, Gene Keys, right? So what we do is we perceive these shadows because they get projected from our DNA. They get projected out into the world, and that's how we see them. So you can see where we get into trouble. It's like it's like an emotional mirror, our world, right? And what we do is we get trapped fighting the mirror, right? Who gets hurt when you're punching a mirror? You do, right? The mirror isn't affected at all. We're seeing a reflection of our unconscious as a humanity back to us. And why? What's the purpose of this? Well, we've got to purify the past, and this means purifying all of our ancestral memories of the bad decisions that our ancestors made in the past, right? Where they chose to react. They forgot who they were, right? That they were spiritual beings having human experiences, and then they started to react from fear, anger, grief, react to the mirror, and that incurs karma. So if you're going through that, like this intensity of emotions, well, this is what's happening, and this is part of our purification work, and that's why it seems so chaotic out in the world, because we're seeing all these shadows, right? So here's the evolutionary process that we're in. Okay, so this is the chart, the human design chart. So we've moved from a physical awareness. This doesn't mean that we left it behind. We've just transcended it. Physical awareness, right, which was all about keeping the species alive, right? We've done that really well, thumbs up. And then we evolved into a mental awareness system. This is how we experience life, right? So experiencing life through the mind. This or that, strategy, logic, all that came in, and that really served us. We can see the technology is really the pinnacle of this mental awareness system, but we've taken it as far as we can go now, and that's what we're seeing in the world. So we're transcending this and then moving into an emotional awareness system. So many paths are saying the same thing. We're evolving through the emotional body right now, right? So what happens here is we're going to go through a solar plexus mutation. This is the second brain behind our physical stomach, right? The solar plexus is going to mutate. It's going to go through an evolutionary process, and then this morphs into spirit awareness, and this is how we'll experience life as spirit. So the pathway of awareness, we're going the opposite way, moving from the physical to the mental, to the emotional, back to the frequency, back to vibrational. This is our evolutionary process right now. So the real work right now is our shadow in our inner child work, because that emotional body is that 0 to 7 years old, right? So this is directly connected to our ancestral memory, right? It's through this 0 to 7 year old. So this is where all those emotions get stuck, like a clog, right? In plumbing, this is what's happening. Like we're getting the plunger, the cosmic plunger, right? Stirring up all those emotions through the solar flares and the frequency changes. So all this stuff can be kicked up to the surface to be purified. And so our battle right now, if we're putting it in a nutshell here, our spiritual battle is really for your attention. It's really for your attention through all the distractions, right? And be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, be distracted. There's so many people with short attention spans. This is done on purpose, because this is to keep you distracted in the external world, right? So you don't go within. That's where all the work, all the shadows are coming from inside you. All the emotions are coming from inside you. You can't fix the mirror. You have to go inside. The only way to shift the mirror is to shift yourself from the internal, right? We're going back to the source, back to frequency. But we need to go through that emotion, right? That emotional body first. And so this is the battle. It's like, are you gonna get distracted? Are you gonna bite the bait? And the distractions are gonna come really fast and furious in 2023 too, right? We've all been distracted on the external. Like there's so much stress, this artificial stress that's created to keep you locked into survival, right? And not going within to the source. So this is about feeling, right? It's about feeling. So this is what's happening now. We're evolving through our emotions, so emotional intelligence. I was thinking today, because we've been such in the Capricorn energy, right? And with Pluto and Capricorn's about to leave Capricorn, the sign of Capricorn in March, that it's like we've all been under this Saturn return. Saturn takes 29 and a half years to orbit. You go through your first Saturn return and then second, maybe third, right? It's like the whole world is under Saturn return. And this is all about maturing. And how we're maturing is through our emotional body, right? We have to lead now with our emotional intelligence. And this means feeling our way through life, right? So this is the global cycle that's coming, 2027 to 2040, 38. Now we're leaving the cross of planning. Do I have the cross of planning here? That started in 1615 and ends in 2027. This is all about tribal consciousness, bargain, right? I do this for you, you do this for me. There's rooted in codependency. This is a big theme for 2023 is to integrate this shadow of codependency, right? It's codependent on support systems, right? And all the institutions that are going down in 2027. This is codependency right here. It's like the Titanic. There's 2027. There's the iceberg. It's already started sinking, right? The Titanic. We can't count on, we're seeing it. It's very, very clear. We can't count on little g, right? Our educational system, our medical, financial, legal, religion, marriage, right? All these institutions that were rooted in fear and control, they're not real, right? Everything that's inauthentic to us and our human nature is going down. So we've got to jump off that Titanic and we've got to become self-sovereign. We've got to choose big G. We can't choose little g to save us or something outside of us to save ourselves. We have to go inside to our authentic self, which is connected to the divine, right? Big G. So this is what's happening with the cross of planning, right? We're leaving time. Time is all about cross of planning. The mind is about time, strategy, right? The past, the future, right? Being left. It's called leftness, right? And this is all about the mind. So letting all of this go, the cross of planning, and then we're coming into the eternal now. So you may even find this yourself just with memory, but it's challenging to remember what you did last week, right? Like all of this excess information that we don't really need. It's leaving because we're coming more and more into the eternal now, which is frequency, vibrational. That's what's real, the eternal now, present moment. So we got to feel our way through life. It's not getting logical and planning and scheming and all that, right? This old way of being. We have to embrace a new way of being, and this is feeling your way through life, right? And this means embracing your emotions, your emotional body. And most people, why they don't want to go inside is because they got to face this, right? That wounded inner child, all those traumas come up, right? That are rooted to your ancestors, right? Your ancestral memory. That's why they don't want to go inside. But your intuition, right? It's all about your heart opening. Your heart will open when this alchemical process happens in your solar plexus, and then the heart opens. And this is the Google translator for your intuition. You don't have intuition if you have a closed heart, because the mind can hijack. The mind can come in. The mind can't come in when your heart is open, right? This ego mind can't live in that space. So it's really crucial now, because we have to depend on our intuition. We can't depend on our mind anymore. And that's why you hear people, they get swayed back and forth by opinions, opinion of one person, opinion of the other. And I've heard this from people. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe, because they're using their mind, right? When you do this emotional purification work and your heart is open, you know what's true and what's not. You don't need your mind to tell you that, because it's a frequency. It's a feeling. Truth is a feeling. It's a frequency. God is a feeling. It's a frequency. The divine is a frequency. It's a feeling. So it's really this time that we're entering. It's the liberation of your spirit. That's what's happening. So you're burning away what's not authentic. So whatever is losing energy right now, it means that it's not aligned with you anymore. And you're going to be living as a soul in a body in a real way. Not just going to church on Sunday, right? That's part of this. This is religion. This is going, right? We've been taught that God is on the outside, right? And we have to do this and we have to do that and prostrate ourselves. It's not true. The divine is on the inside. So even this religion is going too. I know religious folks aren't going to like to hear that, but it's true, because it's about having your own direct experience now with the divine, right? It's all about becoming self-reliant. So it's about living to your highest potential, and that's a big word for the Cross of Sleeping Phoenix. And right now, it's authentic. Is this authentic to me? Are these people in my life authentic to me? Is the work I do authentic to me? Right? So you want to follow your unique path. It's about stepping away from the tribal consciousness. The tribal consciousness is going. It's disappearing, right? We're evolving as a human species. So not that you don't have people around you. You'll have your soul tribe, but it's not going to be the bargain. I'm going to sacrifice my authentic self so that the tribe, right, will give me a job, will give me shelter, will give me this, and will give me that at an expense of my authenticity. That's not going to work anymore, this bargain. So it's about living your full vibration in the present moment, like your frequency in the present moment. So it's an exciting time, but again, to get to the other side, we got to leave the emotional body. We have to go into the emotional body and do this work, which is just to feel. It's just to feel. And we're leaving behind this. So this would be like the ego. It's worm tongue, right? From Lord of the Rings. Just to give the ego a form, right? The mind, or the not self, right? So this is this voice in your head, right? That's yammering all the time. That came in strong when you were 7 years old. 0 to 7 is the emotional development, right? And then 7 to 14 is the development of the mind. So the ego, not self, and I know there's a lot of spiritual teachers out there and New Age teachings. They say, oh, you need to work with your ego, and your ego is your friend and your ally. No, your ego is not your friend and your ally. This is a foreign entity, right, inside your head. It's not you. And you can live perfectly without the ego. Right? This is what we need to transcend, because the ego is part of the mind. We're transcending the mind. We're not leaving it behind, but we're transcending it. We're expanding beyond it. And we can live in these states of consciousness without the ego and without the mind. But the ego and the mind, they don't want that. So, right? So you need to really discern. Don't believe what I have to say. Go inside and feel that. Is that true for me? Is that true for me? Right? So what else do I want to say about this ego? So the ego will do anything. Yes, the ego will pretend, let's go to this workshop, let's get up and do sadhana, let's do this and that. But when it comes to true surrender, that ego will tear you down, because it means its annihilation, right? So just don't trust Just don't trust whatever thoughts are coming in your mind. If they're not coming from deep inside you and coming from feeling, right? You know that this, I've got a great video on the difference between the voice of the ego and the voice of the soul. I think it's still on YouTube. You can look that up and it will give you hot tips, right? To discern where is that voice coming from, right? So keeps you in the illusion of separation, the ego. And this is your false self, right? That most people on the planet are ruled by this ego. And this is narcissism. That's why that was a big theme last year, right? Because these are the New Year's charts. 2022, I think Mars was in 10. That's narcissism. That was a big theme last year. I'm going to refer to this chart in my videos in 2023, just to keep us on track, right? Because this is the root. We're already in 2023 now, halfway to 2027. So this is the program, right? Okay. So okay, that's what I want to say. And I love this image, right? Thinking you can repress your emotions and escape your destiny. This is the emotional body. This is the flood, the 40-day and 40-night flood in the Bible. The flood is internal. That's the flood. This energy is like a huge tsunami moving through the emotional body of humanity, right? So people are going to start flipping out even more than we've seen so far with with these emotions, especially if they've never dealt with them, right? And we live in a society that does not appreciate or even know the wisdom that comes from this emotional body when it's purified. So, right, 2023 is going to get more and more intense, emotionally more and more intense. But this is the secret right here. That's all that's being called for you to do, is just to feel, right? Feel these feelings as they come up in your experiences. And remember, there's, we feel like, oh, the mind and the ego will, like, it's too much, I'll be incapacitated. You're only given as much as you can process. No less, no more, right? The divine is loving in that way, right? Okay. And this is what my program's all about. The Phoenix program is doing all this emotional work, doing this emotional purification work and shadow work. Okay. So let's go to the new moon here of January 21st, and we'll talk about that. Okay. Okay. Satnam, everybody. I'll get to you in a second. Okay. And be sure to like the video, too. Oh, Rachel just popped in there. Okay. So this is the new moon. So the new moon's on the 21st. And then hours later, it's the actual beginning, the official beginning of the new moon or the new year of 2023. And this is when, you can't see that very well. I don't want to magnify this because everything else will get off center. So you can see the sun there. You can see the 41. So that means the sun has moved around the mandala, like all of those numbers, those 64 numbers. Then it's gone back to the very beginning. So the 41 is down here off the root chakra. And this is the beginning, the star codon of all our human experiences. Everything starts with the 41. So that's the official new year, which is only a couple hours after this new moon, right? So this 60.6, because it can go 60.1, 60.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it goes to 40, right? And so it's only hours away from this new moon. And then it's the Chinese New Year too. So you can feel there's a lot of new energy, right, coming. But this time that we're in right now, it's just about getting clear. And I did a tarot reading too, so that the tarot reading totally validates this, what I'm saying. Okay, so there's the 60. The moon is in the 60. The sun is in the 60. And then Pluto. Pluto, how did that get... Oh. That's weird. Let me just get that back up. I think that was cut off for some reason. Let's see again. It's cut off. Anyway, take my word for it. The Pluto's in the 60 right there. Okay, so Pluto, moon, sun. Sun and moon together, that's always a new moon. And then Pluto just to really amp up that energy. So what's the shadow pattern here? So you can see that the 60, I've got the green circle there. So that's the root chakra. Okay, so that's pressure. That's pressure. Root chakra pressure. And the 60, and there's if the 3 was activated, was planetary, activated by a planet, that would make a channel, and those 2 would be colored in. This is the channel of mutation, right? The channel of mutation. So this is about starting the mutative process right here with the 60. So it's the shadow of limitation. Okay, so this is mutative energy, pressure with mutative energy to change, to go through a metamorphosis yourself. You probably even look at last year. Last year, the person you were last year, you're probably radically different now. Like maybe your external's not reflecting that yet. This is the shadow of limitation. It's I can't see the change, but you know inside that you've changed, right? I've had times like that where I've woken up in the morning and it's like I feel so shifted and I feel so different, even though everything around me is the same, right? Because the mind wants proof, right? Wants proof that things are changing. This is part of the shadow of limitation. So it's about trusting. The 60 is about trusting that mutative energy. It's a pulse, right? It's a pulse. This mutative energy works at a pulse. It's like off, 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 on, off. There's no rhythm or rhyme to it. It's nature's rhythm, right? So it doesn't really have it has a cosmic order, but it doesn't have an order according to the mind. So there's no control over when this mutation happens. So what can happen with the shadow of limitation in this channel, especially if you've got it, right? That you have the channel of mutation. You're going to just bring mutation wherever you go. You could be in your workplace. You could be with your friends, your family. And then suddenly everything, that mutative energy just emanates from you. And that in turn causes mutation and change around you with the people around you. But you have no control over it. Right? So what can come up is melancholy, right? Which is kind of a depression, like feeling depressed, like nothing's moving, right? I'm limited by this, and why isn't life changing, right? And all that means, that melancholy, it's very creative. It just means there's something gestating, right? There's something gestating inside you. It's really about, if I were to say one word that, for me, my biggest lesson this 2022 is patience, right? It's patience and trust in these rhythms that life knows best. Life knows what it's doing, right? We don't need to interfere as humans. So the gift, because every shadow has a gift, is acceptance, and this is the gate of acceptance, 60. And then the city is justice, right there. So let's go into what this shadow, worm tongue, the ego, will tell you with the 60, right? And this is how we can learn, we can discern. It's like, oh, I'm having thoughts like this is the conditioning field, right? People are going to have thoughts like this. And this just means you're in the shadows releasing from the DNA of humanity, right? And we're in this programming field, the matrix, you could call it, Maya. So limited by my feeling limited, like I'm limited. Maybe you don't even know you're limited. By conditioned, means that's been imposed on you. Familiar dualistic thinking, which is this or that, because we live in a plane of duality. That's how the mind experiences reality, is this or that. That's the walnut, right? The walnut halves, this or that. Where you find one, you're going to find its opposite. So feeling like you're stuck, right? You're stuck in the horizontal, this or that, this or that, this or that. The way out is the vertical. You got to go up, right? And the limitation, the shadow of limitation keeps you in this, keeps you back and forth with the mind. That's what the mind does. Feeling limited by these rules and regulations. Maybe you've got rules on yourself that you've inherited from your ancestors. Well, I don't do that. Well, I don't do. Well, I'm a Christian, or I'm a yogi. I don't do those things. You got to look at this, because they're keeping you trapped in the horizontal, right? Or feeling materially limited. That's a big theme on the planet, feeling materially limited, right? Like you just don't have enough. And as soon as you say that, like I don't have enough money, I don't have enough whatever resources, I don't have a car, whatever, it's not enough. What you're really saying is, I'm not enough. I'm not enough, which is my spirit, my soul isn't enough. And you're more than enough. That's the source, right? This is all about the mind, breaking out of the limitations of the mind. You won't allow anyone to challenge your way of doing things, right? Won't receive any feedback. And remember, the divine can work through anybody. You've got to look at it like that. Because we get caught up in the person, right? The ego gets caught up in that. Well, I can't look powerless, right? I can't look like I have it all. I have to look like I'm a success. I've got to look like I have it all together, right? So you're not accepting feedback, but that feedback is probably coming from the divine, right? To help you and support you. Cling to systems, right? So clinging to this. That Titanic that's going down, clinging to that system instead of clinging to the divine, Feeling depressed when nothing seems to be moving. That's the shadow of limitation. So these shadows have fears. So that's right away, it's like I'm not being myself. I'm having these thoughts. And the limitation is that I stay there. Right? And to transcend limitation and to transcend shadow is to feel it first, because it's going to come with emotions of feeling that limitation. Maybe you feel afraid, or you feel angry, like I want to rail against these systems, or I feel grief, right? I feel grief. I feel really sad about this. Maybe I'm seeing limitation all around me, because when you're in the shadow, that's all you see. That's all you see is shadow. You don't see the truth, right? It's like you got these glasses on, these limitation shadow glasses, and you look around, that's all you see. Right away, you've got to get into that place of empowerment, right? Which is to change my frequency, which is me get out of the horizontal, I'm going into the vertical, and I'm going up, right? I'm going up to the divine, but I got to feel that stuff first that comes up, right? And then you start to see reality. This is transcending. This is what the shadow of limitation is showing us, right? Is acceptance. I'm accepting the gift of acceptance. I'm accepting that I'm in this shadow state right now. I accept it. I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to avoid it and distract myself from it, or go to false promises that somebody's dangling a carrot. Here's how you get out of these feelings of feeling limited, right? So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to stay inside, right? So the fear is the limitations and restrictions. We can see this coming, right, in 2023. And the shadow can feel victimized by the structures and systems built by the status quo. This is like the iTunes, terms and conditions like that. This is the rat-tat-tat stuff that people can feel limited by the systems and the government overreach, and you need a license for this and you need a license for that, right? you need to do this so that you can be free. Instead of the opposite, it's like we're free already. We're free already. We don't need somebody to tell us that we're free, right? So it can feel victimized by that. So you can see it's like staying stuck. And what it is, too, is staying fixated in this path of this awareness, is staying in the physical and then the mental, not going down to the vibrational. Will keep you in shadow. And then the belief system, because everyone has a belief system. And remember, creativity is about the vertical. It's not about the horizontal. Vertical is something completely new. It's the present moment, right? It's the present moment. That's where creativity is. So the belief is that you're immortal. You're mortal being trapped in matter, and that's all you are, right? And that life will not right itself. So no trust in life at all. You know, it's like a plant, right? If you go and plant put some tomato seeds or whatever down in the ground, and then you're going out and you don't see anything happening. Does that mean nothing's happening? You don't dig it up, right? You trust that the seed is germinating. That's what this shadow of limitation and gift of acceptance is teaching us, right? So let's go to the gift. So this is the limitation for the new moon. So it's to accept that I feel limited right now, right? That there are laws that we have to obey here, not man's laws, but laws like gravity, things like that. This gravity would fit in with this shadow of limitation too. And the thing is, for creativity to happen, we need that container, that tight container. If we don't have a container, it will, like, think of a river and a bank. The banks are like the container, right, for the river. So we too need some kind of containment, right? That's why immersions and retreats are good, or your sadhana practice. You're creating a container. It's like, I'm going to go up in the morning. I'm going to meditate from 5 to 6 a.m. or whatever, and that's my container. And once you make that commitment that this is my container of time, then transformation can happen. But if you're like willy-nilly, like, I'll just follow my bliss and follow these new age teachings and pray to some ascended master and I'm going to change. No, this is why we have to embrace this shadow of limitation and make it work for us. So it's creating a structure. And then the change and the creativity can come in through that structure. Does that make sense? Like, our body is even a container, right, for our soul to come in and change and mutate. So it's just accepting, right? Accepting and working with these containers. So the gift of acceptance, and then the city of justice. So this is about when you know you're in the gift and you've transcended it, right? You stay connected to your ideals and vision without losing sight of the destructive part of the creative process. So in Kundalini yoga and meditation, God is an acronym, right? So it stands for generating, organizing, and destroying, or delivering. Those are the three aspects, right? So this is about, that sometimes that container is not going to serve you any longer. And the container may have been your relationship, or maybe the container was the job. Here's my container. I go to work at this job, and it was all about the containment was like, I'm here 8 hours a day, right? 5 days a week with these certain people that we've come together for karmic reasons, right? This is why we work, really. That's what I see, is to pay off these karmic debts to one another, because we wouldn't freely go out and choose karmic relationships. But in the workplace, you have really no choice of who you work with, in a sense, right? So God is like bringing you all together. So maybe you've done your karma, especially now, right? Your karmic contract's paid off. Well, then the job goes. The job goes away. So it's all about like, okay, there's going to be something new that emerges, right? From my soul's evolution. It's to trust that. To not look at it as like a bad thing. That's the mind and judging. It's like, oh, I'm done that karmic experience, right? I'm on to the next lesson, and then the simulator creates something completely new for you, right? So, but staying connected and aligned with your vision or your mission or your soul purpose, and to trust that above all else. Don't get locked into the, I need the container, I need the container. New containers will form. So you can see them as these containers and structures as supportive vessels that help me manifest my dreams in the material world, right? So a balance of your material self and your spiritual self, not just spiritual, and I don't care about my material well-being, right? Who are you going to help? If you're a healer, teacher, life coach, if you're not embracing your material, you can't help anybody because there's no container, right? You need the container, and the container starts with your body and your health, and then around you, right? Your environment. So balance of these two. And that's a big one for spiritual people, is to embrace, because we've been so brainwashed and conditioned that the material world is evil and wrong, and but it's part of our experience. It's why we're here. So remember, you can't help anybody unless you embrace your material self, and to trust yourself, so remain open-minded when you're in the gift. Embrace the uncertainty of the flow of life, even when something doesn't seem to be happening. This is such a big lesson for me, is patience. Right? Because when you go inside, you can feel so much going on, right? That time and space has to catch up with it, the internal changes. So you embrace divine laws and qualities that lie beyond the physical, like grace and magic and miracles, right? And you have common sense, think outside of the box, and use playful, light language, and really the power of words. I can't stress that enough. And we can be limited not only by our thinking, but what comes out of our mouth, right? I was listening to someone the other day. It's really, and she was having issues with her partner and standing up to her partner, setting boundaries. And she kept saying, it's really hard to set boundaries. It's really hard to speak honestly with him. It's really hard. And I said, you notice what you say? There's so much energy on that word hard. That's a limitation. Right? So you're going to create that with your words, and then it gets entrenched, and then it's a belief system, and then that's all you see, right? This is hard, this is hard. And I was giving her some advice. It's like, it's easy to stand up to my partner. Like, start to speak like that. Like, really watch what's coming out of your mouth. Is that language limiting, or is it expansive, right? Is it expansive? So, like looking at structures, like this structure, this job that I don't like, I don't enjoy, maybe that ego doesn't like it at all, right? I don't enjoy this because you're getting triggered left and right, your emotional body. Take it to like, it's serving me, right? Go to the silver lining. This is serving me to grow and evolve, right? I'm growing, I'm accepting this experience, and I'm growing and evolving through it. And really, if you go back and reflect back in your life, like the most challenging situations that you've been in, challenging people that you've been with, you've learned the most, right? We grow and evolve through discomfort. That's the container. It's the discomfort is the container, but we transcend that, right? Okay. Okay, so we did all the gift stuff, right? Okay. Yeah. And then the justice, in a nutshell, is just is. It's just is. That's acceptance. This is just is. I'm going to accept this reality that I'm in. Right? And this isn't about going belly up, because belly up is like, I'm going to not feel what it is to be in this experience. I'm going to tune out. I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to go with the status quo, right? I'm going to let them take my attention away, right? Because energy goes, right? Follows your attention. Wherever your attention goes, energy flows, right? To where your attention is. It's like, no, I'm going to go inside. I'm just going to feel. I'm going to be here, right? This justice is about being here, fully in your vibrational power, right? Fully vibrationally here. That's what we're being called to do. And it's just about showing up, right? This is Capricorn. 60, it's Capricorn. It's coming to the 29th degree, Pluto and Capricorn. This is huge, right? For this new moon. And then today it's the Sun and Pluto, like I said in my newsletter, coming together, right? So there's a deep truth that's coming out, that's been really, really hidden from you. Pluto's like, I just saw this video on this Amazon driver, maybe you saw it. He walked across this lawn and there was a big hole there and he got caught in the septic, like 6 feet under in the septic, and he's like in it, right? You know, septic, feces and excretion. That's Pluto, right? Pluto's going to take you down to the depths. So maybe you think like, I've gone to the depths. Well, today and coming up to the new moon, you're even going to go further into the depths to see something that you need to see, that's stopping you, that's limiting you from growing, right? So to accept that. So Capricorn is about maturing. We're all maturing, right? So I just want to go into the tarot, because this will give you more information about this new moon. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. So I did this just before I hopped on, so it's really fresh. And I like to have a picture of it too. Okay. Satnam, everyone. Lori says started. Oh, you did, right. Started the Sleeping Phoenix series and it's shaken up a lot. That's my program. In the cold depression. Yeah, that's a great meditation. So this has been my intention because I've been really, really going deep over the holidays. Like, how do I want to serve? How am I being called to serve? And I was imagining, like, really moving out of that shadow of limitation and imagining like thousands and thousands, maybe 1 million people coming to me for help. Well, what would I do? Because there's only one of me. It was like I would point them to this program, this Phoenix program. So everything's coming in there. It's like the top 10 hits of Catalyst Yogi coming all into one program, like everything that they need right there. And this is from trial and error, right? Because I've been doing these programs since 2013. So that's my intention, is to be able to put people in this direction. So real tools that they can use. And not just going through once and I'm done. Doesn't work like that. Healing is a spiral. It's something that you can go back to and use in your daily life too. So I'm glad I'm getting good feedback from it. Okay, so here we are for the new moon. New moon, and we're just heading into the new year, right? We're heading into the new year. So there's what we're leaving behind. This is so Mars in Mars in Gemini in retrograde since October 30th. Remember, I just did that video where it went direct. So leaving behind, this is the Knight of Swords. This is the immaturity, right? And the swords are all about the mental, and it's about Gemini, right? Like, think of Gemini. They just go in. I just want to get this done. In Mars and Gemini, I'm impatient, right? I just want to get this done. I want to do this work really fast. And so this is taking action, but not really not really listening to your intuition. It's more just acting from your mind, right? Because the mind is like a computer, right? It avoids pain, seeks pleasure. Avoid pain, seek pleasure. It doesn't sit well with discomfort, right? It doesn't want to sit there. So this is taking action way too soon, and jumping on an idea too fast. So it's about leaving that way, right, of navigating through your life behind. It's a restlessness, like leaving that restlessness behind. And staying on the surface. I don't think I have that image. But staying on the surface of life. Oh, I didn't download it. Staying on the surface of life instead of like going deeper within. Like what is my soul saying right now? What's my intuition saying right now? Right? Because the mind right here, right, is right there. It's right there. If you're identified with your ego and your mind, it's right there in your ear, right? This is the surface. You want to be transcending, right? And this keeps you limited, keeps you in limited thinking. The ego is not creative at all, right? It's totally about fear. It's all about fear and control, and right, and separation from the divine. You want to be transcending that ego, and that's going into these higher states of consciousness, this expansion. And remember, you expand, right? You expand only one way now, and that's through this emotional body. That's where expansion is. So you want to be going deeper, right? That's what this is saying. It's like you're ready to go deeper now. I'm going deeper inside myself. And so listening to your ego, this is also listening to, the TV, right? Listening to this. Be afraid, be distracted. You're listening to not your ego, but other people's ego, right? You want to go deeper. And I just want to mention Jupiter. So this is what's encouraged, right? And Jupiter in the transit chart. Last year, it was all about being a victim. That was encouraged. It was totally the victim Olympics. It still is. Who's more victimized in the world? Like, encourage that victimization, not empowering at all, right? And now it's moving into the shadow of opinion. So everybody and his dog's grandmother is going to have an opinion about something, and it's so like YouTube is filled with opinion, right? Opinions. So that's listening to someone's ego. Well, I'm going to think like them. I'm going to take their thoughts on, and it's not authentic. It may not be authentic to you. And again, it's just an opinion. So, yeah. So that's what we're leaving behind, called to leave behind. And staying away from the junk food for the mind, and that's the distraction, the distractions, right? It's about focusing, and that's what this 60 can give you. It's that ability just to focus, Okay, so that, and then the challenge is the Two of Pentacles, and this is stress, right? So stress, and this is what is stress? Back to the emotions, is fear. Right? Stress is fear. So there's a lot of artificial fear, stress being created in the world right now. And so this is allowing this to affect you. And of course, that mind is going to want to avoid this feeling of stress, this feeling of fear. And it's material, right? Because it's the Pentacles. So the challenge for here, what this new moon is for this new moon cycle, right, is showing you the not let that dictate your decisions. Remember, the mind isn't created to make your decisions from. In a human design, you want to go to your strategy and your authority, right? If you're a generator, manifesting generator, a projector, or a manifester, or a reflector, you want to go to your strategy and authority, and that's the best way to make your decisions. This is about focus, right? So the challenge will be to focus on that one thing. Keep your eyes on the prize, right? I'm a spiritual being having human experiences, and there's all these shiny things all around me to get distracted by, right? Yeah. What else? Yeah, and don't get extreme. The Two of Pentacles is all about getting extreme. This is about balance. This justice and acceptance is about balancing your energy. Don't get too extreme one way or the other. This is the marathon runner, this reading, right? This is the sprinter, the Knight of Swords. I'm just going to sprint. Well, this is the marathon runner, because there's the King of Pentacles. This is all about getting into that Capricorn energy. What do I want to leave behind in this earth plane? We're only here. That's limitation too. Or the gift of acceptance is to accept that we're in a time-bound body. We're only here for a fraction of a moment, really, in the history of humanity, right? How do I want to be spending this time? Do I want to be distracted on my phone with all the shiny things, or in the stress state, right? So the foundation underneath it that we're not aware of, the energy that's underneath this, is the King of Pentacles, right? He is not charging ahead on a horse. He's chilling, right? He's on his throne. And this is about financial support. So this is what's coming up, right? That's supporting you. Just like to start to think big, not just yourself. How do I just keep myself financially supported? How do I provide financially for other people and materially for other people, right? Maybe you've got family and a responsibility, so you want to be always have that kind of mindset, you know? So if you're feeling like, you're being told there's going to be a food shortage or something, it's like you run down the Costco. Well, what can I think of other people? Well, my neighbors might need something, right? Or my extended family or my workmates. So you buy a little extra. But that's your intention, right? Is to help support others in your community. And what does wealth and abundance mean to you? True wealth and true abundance and true prosperity is sharing with other people. It's not hoarding. That's not true wealth and prosperity. I know a lot of wealthy people that I've met on this island, and they are not happy, right? Because they're not sharing and they're not giving. That's what gives you true prosperity, is when you're sharing and giving to others, right? Not hoarding, because then they're worried too. I'm going to lose all this money. And then poor people are like, I'm not going to get money. It's the same frequency of fear. So this is about long term. What wants to come up now is long term. And so you don't want to be in this energy of the mind, and right, only thinking short term. You want to go deeper. You've been given gifts, right, by the divine before you come in. There's gifts inside you, and they may be dormant if you don't embrace this generosity, because that's when you learn about your soul purpose, by what you give, right? What you give to others in the moment. Like, notice what I give when I'm really zinged about giving. And it may not just be material things, but your spiritual wealth, and that gets translated into material wealth, right? So this new moon's about long term, and that means going within and listening to that Pluto sun talking to you today in the next few days, like giving you downloads. So yeah, generosity. Yeah. And enjoying, right? Enjoying your wealth and your prosperity. This is Taurus, so avoid hoarding. That's what this is saying here. And not getting into limited belief, right? That we're being fed on the news. Fear, 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 be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, inflation, 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 right? No, people are poor, people are homeless, blah, 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 blah. That's just one perspective of the world and what's going on in the world. You want to expand, right? Go into expansion and acceptance, right? That there's plenty for everyone There's plenty for everyone. There's abundance for everyone. And then at the top here, what the soul wants you to know and to focus on is this is the Ace of Wands. So this fits with this new moon energy. And wands are spiritual. So this is inspiration, right? Passion, passionate new beginnings. So what inspires you is going to be connected to this King of Pentacles. What inspires you? What new opportunities are available to you? When you're in these two of Pentacles and Knight of Swords, you can't see. You can't see opportunities because you're a frantic mess, a chicken with its head cut off, right? You're in a stress state. You're not in your power, right? So it's about slowing down. This is what Capricorn has been teaching us, is to slow down and start looking long term, right? The original people, right? The ancients, every decision was made how will this affect us in 7 generations into the future? There's none of this from our leaders. It's all self-serving. It's all about this lifetime, right? So, in their own interests. So this is about following your passion. And again, this is why we need to be in touch with our emotions and our feelings. It's to follow our passions, right? So you want to grab that wand that's coming from the divine. This is these feelings of inspiration filled with spirit about some new idea or new opportunity. And then it's going to create this creative spark, right? So do you see how you're being supported? That's what I see here. And be ready for this to fire up, right? And that, to me, is prosperity. In human design, I have a first line in my it also gives you a relationship with prosperity, this chart. And it's all about creativity. And that's what I feel the most prosperous was when I have that freedom to just be creative and focus on creativity. What else? Yeah, so it's about just being confident that this inspiration will come and you'll be supported. Not just you, but other people will be supported by you. And then what to focus on or what actions to take is the moon. The moon, which is fitting, right? It's the new moon. This is the only major arcana card. So in a tarot reading, that takes precedent. It's the most important. And this is shadow work, doing your shadow work, right? So all of this is coming up, inspiration, right? Ways of financially supporting myself and others. You're going to be faced with your fears, right? These ancestral fears of survival. And these come from deep, deep within your subconscious and your unconscious. So all your deepest fears will come up, your anxieties, but you want to stay within and just do that integration work, right? Stay within and do the integration work and just feel it, right? Just feel those. And then you expand, right? Into this state, and then more and more inspiration will come. So this is the work. We can't avoid this work right now with this moon. And connecting with your intuition, right? Because the moon connects with your intuition. So staying connected with your intuition. And it's Pisces. The moon is ruled by Pisces. So that's the last sign in the Zodiac. So this is the new beginning, right? But this is the way through, is this moon energy. Yeah. And the new moon's all about seeding something new. So it's not necessarily about taking action on the new moon, but it's about just seeding, right? See, just getting clear on your intentions. Yeah. So that's good. And then what's the ego telling us? This ego, that voice in your head, that is not your friend. Ego is not your amigo, not your friend. It's telling you about guilt. And this is a huge manipulation tool by the negative forces which are serving us, right, to awaken. Is guilt, right? Guilt is a total manipulation tool. Do this, right? And then you can save grandma. Do this, do that, give away your freedom and your authenticity because you'll save another. Because we have this conditioned guilt that's conditioned guilt, right? That we already have this guilt inside of us. It's one of the 6 primal wounds of humanity is guilt, right? So it's all about making a mistake. The guilt, let's take it right to the touchdown here. Where's that guilt coming from? It's coming from the ego, right? The ego has guilt because it's separated from God, right? So it's separated from God, and that's where the guilt is. And the guilt is like the punishment. I'm going to be punished by God, right? So this is like the psychological root of it. And so I'm going to pay off guilt. So I'm either going to project my guilt onto other people and judge them, the judgment. They're guilty. They should be punished. Or I'm going to bring it back to myself, right? And I'm going to try to pay off guilt. And this is how we go into sacrifice and codependency, trying to pay off guilt, right? So this is what we have to watch out for coming up. So it could be around money, like I don't deserve good things. I don't deserve inspiration. I don't deserve this beautiful, wonderful life. And you can come into this lifetime with guilt already inside you. You know, and I don't have a natal chart here, but it's in your chart too, if that's your primal wound. Each one of us have a primal wound. That's like the karmic pie. There's 6 slices. You come in and it's like, oh, here's my karmic pie that I'm going to work with in this lifetime. So if you got a 5th line, unconscious Mars, then you're going to have this guilt that you have to deal with, right? And it's like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Well, it's your work, right? For humanity, for the collective of humanity and your ancestors. So this is trying to, so this is also the Phoenix program. I've got a whole module just on guilt, because this is a huge one. If you have financial debt, this is totally connected to guilt. Our whole economy is based on this guilt. That's what debt is guilt. So forgiving yourself, constantly forgiving yourself. That's what I see here. Okay. So that's the tarot, which totally fits, with the new moon energy. So let me just acknowledge some people here, and then we'll get into the zodiacs. Okay, Satnam Rachel Reed from UK. It looks like it's snowing. Satnam Devi, Daya, Lisa Val, MG, Sag Sun, Taurus Rising, Cancer Moon. And Gabby from Austria. Satnam, Mickey, Eva, Lily, Satnam from London. C.A. Patterson, Caroline, Satnam. Massachusetts Corruption, Satnam, Kara from Ireland, Satnam, and Jen, Satnam, you're here. Yeah, almost Happy New Year. Okay. Satnam, Lori. Lou Divine, Satnam, from France. Thank you. Oh, I like your spelling, Michael, from Michael. Gratitude for the shadow and the gift. Life's amazing. Yeah, that's a good attitude. And Aiden, projector from Iceland, Satnam. Love your work. On fire today, XX. Okay. The sign is from tropical. I use the tropical. Lori Brown. I could sure use some maturing. So it's about trusting that maturation and process is happening inside. But it's really about it maturing emotionally, right? And then these tricks and the manipulation won't work on people when they start maturing emotionally because they're hooking into the emotional traumas. Satnam Gretchen. Okay. Lorianne. Catherine Satnam. Reflector, yay. From Florida. Okay. Yeah. Green Tree, Satnam. Savitri. Yeah. Okay. And Satnam Wake Up Channel. Okay. So where do we want to start with this? I'll get the overview. I always plan to do this intro faster, but it's just what it is, right? I kind of trust, because I'm 3 parts right in my variable, so I trust what comes out of me is needed. And I trust that the people that follow me don't have a short attention span. I can't play that game. I can't speak in little sound bites like that. Okay. Let's do the overlays here. And we'll start with Aries. Okay. Okay. So a good exercise to do is where you feel like you're really too structured, like there's too, maybe you get up and you have the same routine and you see the same people and you travel down the same roads and it's like you're in a rut, right? That would be like the shadow of limitation extreme, right? The extreme, too rigid. So for people that are like that, then you need to shake it up a bit and loosen your structure a little bit. Like try different things, like just allow the creative insights to come, like change things up, right? Expand. It's about expanding past the limited mind. And then if you're too loosey-goosey, right? Like I just meditate when I want to and I go with the flow and I go wherever it feels good. You're in New Age false light teachings, right? I know you don't want to hear this, but just this, you're not going to grow. You're not going to grow that way because you need a container. So you're somebody like, okay, I need a container. I'm going to get up every morning at 8 a.m. where when I get up, I'm going to go meditate. That's the first thing I do is go pee, brush my teeth, and then I'm going to go meditate. Right? It's just about coming into balance, right? So too loosey-goosey, you need to bring more structure in your life. And if you're too rigid and too structured, you need to bring more loose into your life, okay? Okay. Another way to work with this shadow pattern. Okay. But Pluto's going to let you know, right? Because it's in the 60. It's actually in here quite a bit. We got it for another couple years, 2023, 2024, and then 2025. And then it goes 2026. It goes into the 41. Even though it's in Pluto, it moves into Aquarius in March. The 60 is on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius. That's 60. It's like a bridge. So we're going to get more and more limited, right? Our limit, because we need to transcend this limitation. Okay. To experience our greatness and our power. And that's what the cross of the sleeping phoenix is about. Self-sovereign. Okay. Okay, Aries. 12, 11, 10. Oh, it's in the 10th house, of course. It's Aries. Let's do some cards for Aries. So Aries, rising moon or sun. 60. And for the new moon, and this will be no surprise to anybody, right, when I'm going through, because it's been in there since 2008. Pluto's been in there for 2008. So Aries can feel limited. Let's do the ego first. Limited by their work, their career, or a father figure too, the 10th house, or it could be government. Okay, what do we got for Aries? What's the ego telling Aries? Oh. That's interesting. Okay, let's do a tarot card for Aries. Maybe Aries, you're limited in your the way you see your work. Because remember, the containers are disappearing, right? If they're not serving you anymore with all this new energy. Maybe you're headed for a career change. Your intuition is trying to speak to you. And you're headed for a career change because you've gotten as far as you can go in your career, in your soul purpose. You may be called to do something else. So you may go into that thought of like, well, how am I going to make money from that? You need to trust. You need to trust your intuition. Okay. And what do we got for Aries? Ooh. We got some doozies here for Aries. We got spiritual ego. The highest of the... This is spiritual narcissism, right? That's the ego, what the ego is telling you. And then you got the devil card. The devil card. So this is material attachments, right? Addictions. So limiting beliefs. So you've got some limiting beliefs around your career, the house of career and soul purpose. That's stopping you from moving forward. So you really need to dig that out. So Pluto's going to help you with that. Dig out those beliefs that are stopping you, that are keeping you stuck. It's also about codependent relationships, Aries. So you could have a relationship with a father figure. So it could even be your partner, your partner, or, it doesn't matter if male form, female form. Female form can have this energy too. And this is ruled by Capricorn, right? The devil card. So where you have some kind of codependent relationship with somebody, you're making them the authority over you, or you're the authority over them, right? They're codependent on you. Can work that way too. This is about your shadow self, right? It's about your shadow self. So this is envy, like all the Greeblies, right? Pluto's going to bring up. So envy, maybe I've got envy and jealousy around people in positions of power, right? That's like, you just got to feel that stuff. Don't deny it or project it onto another person. It's coming from you. That's shadow. And then you got to look at addictions. You got to look, the devil is all about what you're chained to, right? What you're chained to, what you're attached to. And the beauty of this energy that we're in right now is that whatever we're attached to, life will take it away to show us that we don't need it. So whatever you fear, like go to your fears of like, oh, I would really like, I would lose it if I totally lose it mentally or whatever. If I lost a person. Right? If I lost this person, or I lost this job, or I lost this salary or whatever, you got to face that, right? Face that attachment. So it's about really encountering your shadow. That's what the devil is, right? And what drives you, whatever's been driving you. That's what Pluto's going to dig up. Whatever's been driving me in my career and my relationship is going to be shown, right? The sun's coming in, illuminating, right? And the greatest antibiotic, right, for healing is the sun, right? And the sun's coming in. Pluto's all the psychological wounds in the shadow self. It's coming in to illuminate so that you can see it because it's been stopping you, right? And then we've got the spiritual ego, spiritual narcissism, and that's when that ego takes over, right? where the ego takes over with spirituality. It's got all the spiritual talk. It's got all the words to manipulate and stuff, right? So maybe you're dealing with a spiritual narcissist in the 10th house, Aries. Right? So playing the role of a spiritual person as an identity. So taking that as an identity. I'm a teacher. I'm a life coach. I know better than you. Right? 10th house, it's all about hierarchy. So serving the ego. This is about serving the ego, not the spirit, not the divine. So listening to this instead of listening to your soul, right? Your intuition. And over-intellectualizing spirituality. Doing the great talk, the cappuccino talk about spirituality. And spirituality is if you've been on this path and really doing the work, it's no cappuccino sitting and talking about it, right? It's like going to the pits of hell. That's what the spiritual journey is about, like facing your deepest fears, you know? That's what the spiritual journey is. So watch this in yourself, but my sense is it could be a character in your life, right? And so this is about seeing, right? Pluto and Sun in your 10th house, you're going to see some truth, and maybe you're going to see a truth about somebody that you really put up on a pedestal, and then realize, oh my God, they're a spiritual narcissist, right? Because remember, spirituality and divinity, it's a feeling. It's not a nice talk, nice words. It's a feeling, right? It's a feeling. It's a frequency. That's what spirituality is. Yeah. So just accept, right? Aries, don't go into guilt, right? I made a mistake. I followed this person, right? I followed this person. I really relied on them. I gave my power over to them. Right, is to forgive yourself and to learn through the experience. Because I often say this, sometimes we're thrust into experiences and we don't understand why we're in them until we get out of them. And it's usually to help somebody else, like that's been in the same pickle, right, as you. Yeah. Okay. M. Baines, because I want to check if there's any Aries people here. M. Baines. The struggling 10 years apart. Okay. M. Baines is Aries rising. So that could relate to you too, M. Baines, Aries rising. Yeah. And to also dig it up in yourself. But the thing is with the 10th house, Sun and Pluto there, that you'll be shown, because you'll be confronted by somebody, right, that will let you know that you're doing this. Okay. Okay, that's for Aries. And then let's go for Taurus. Rising Sun or Moon. And so if you're just jumped in this part, to go back and listen to the beginning to learn more about the shadow of limitation and the gift of acceptance. And remember, this is all about your evolution, Taurus. It's all about your evolution and your growth and development as a spiritual being having human experiences. So you're going to be in the 9th house, 12, 11, 10, 9. The shadow of limitation in the 9th house for this new moon. So this house is all about the stories that you're creating, but it's also about your beliefs, and it's also about religion. Okay, I think I know what card you're gonna get. Let's see. Just want to pick a card. Okay, what do we got for Taurus? We got this one. So feeling or maybe not even feeling, maybe you don't even know this, that you have some limiting beliefs about the world that you're being called to transcend. Because what you believe, what these beliefs are, and maybe they're not even yours, maybe you've inherited them. This is about downloads. This is the download house, the 9th house. So receiving downloads with Pluto and the sun there, and the new moon there. That's going to like blow your mind so you can expand, right? Expand these belief systems that have been holding you back. Let's see what the ego is telling you. And it's around, because you got the three of, so I want to keep talking. 3 of Pentacles, so it's about working with people. What do we got for Taurus? Oh. Okay. So we got the 3 of Pentacles right there. See them all working together right there. So this is belief systems around working together with people. And maybe you've been burned, you know, maybe you've been burned with working with others. And you're gun shy, so you have this belief system that I have to do everything on my own, you know. And this is the Aquarius, the age of Aquarius that we're entering. This is coming together, right? It's coming together as a collective, but coming together to work together. As we can't do everything on our own. So this is about, working and collaborating with other people and getting out of this belief system that I have to do everything on my own. That's limiting you. Okay. And then you got the pride card right there. That's the ego card. What's the ego been telling Taurus? That voice in your head that you believe is you, right? Let's get him up here. This is what the ego's been telling you, Taurus. To be prideful, to be prideful. So this is like, I can't look powerless. I got to look like I got it all together as a Taurus, right? And this comes from feeling powerlessness as a child, right? So if you got this belief system that nobody can help me, right? So the imprinting, here's how it works, everybody, with the pathway of awareness. And this is our evolutionary process, right? We're going to the physical, mental, emotional, down, back to frequency, vibrational. Well, we get imprinted from 0 to 7 years old, emotionally imprinted. So maybe you did. I'm just throwing out a scenario here for you. Maybe you did ask for help, right? From a caretaker, right? And you didn't get the help. You didn't get the support. Maybe you got shamed. Maybe you got anger, right? Maybe you got that projection on you, right? You're too needy. That projection on you. Well, that comes through frequency, right? It's all about frequency. Hits you in the emotional, where maybe you feel a lot of grief, right? You're feeling a lot of grief. Well, then we go to 7 to 14 years old, and then the mental development starts, and this is where the belief systems come in. Well, the belief system, when this gets triggered, right? The belief system is, I can't count on anybody. There's nobody to help me. I got to do everything myself. I have to do everything myself, right? And Taurus is naturally self-reliant anyway and internal, so that's their default, is to go there anyway. So now you're breaking out of that, right? This belief system, but you're not going to break out of it until you face this, right? It's going through that emotional body that's 0 to 7 years old. And then the expansion will come of the belief system. So the pride is just masking, right? Your pride is just masking that hurt 0 to 7 year old where it originally took place, right? That you don't listen to the ego that's saying that you're that there's no help for you, or that you can't look powerless, you can't look vulnerable, right? Because really it's about not wanting to humble this, not wanting to humble that ego to the divine, right? The ego wants to stay in charge. So basically, it's this feeling of powerlessness that's coming up. That's the wound. It's the feeling of powerlessness as a child, right? Feeling that vulnerability, that there's nobody there to help, right, with me. Because the teamwork stuff can bring up family. Because our families, I talked about this with work, right? We gather together with these people, but what gets recreated is our family dynamic in our workplace. So you'll notice that. It's like, oh, the same dynamic comes up with this person that I had with my brother, or this same dynamic comes up with my father that I have with my boss, right? Because we project that because we want to heal. We want to heal. This little inner child that's what's creating. The emotional body is creating our scenario so that we can heal. So that's what I see. And to trust, no efforting involved. It's about sitting still, Taurus. Where's my sitting still? Sitting still, go inside, right? Don't listen to the propaganda, which is don't go within to the source and stay distracted by the external, trying to fix everything out here. It's to go inside. Yeah, because we're headed for the next level, you know, in terms of our evolution. As spiritual people, we're going to our next level, and we need to come together, right? Because if to create peace, we need to create that peace within inside of each one of us, and then we come together and we create this peace, right? As we all come together and work together. Yeah. Okay, that's what I got. I got for Taurus there. Hopefully that helps somebody. A bull. Okay. And let's go for Gemini. Gemini's rising sun or moon. Okay. So you want to watch the beginning if you just jumped on. Go to the timestamp and find out what this shadow pattern is about. So the shadow of limitation is going to be in your 8th house, right? Yeah. Which is like Pluto and Capricorn in your 8th house. Geminis have been through a lot. Rising sun or moon. Well, that's Pluto's house, right? It's traditionally ruled by Scorpio. Okay. Let me just get a card and then I'll know where to go. Okay, what do we got for Gemini? What do we got for Gemini here? Okay. So it looks like you've got the 9 of Wands for Gemini. This is the Wounded Warrior. Wounded Warrior with that Pluto in there since 2008. Digging up your deepest wounds. Right? The great thing about the 8th house, though, it's like an ending, right? It's an ending. And it's going to be in Aquarius in March. So that makes sense that you've got this. You're the marathon runner and you're, right? You're coming to the finish line. You're almost there. And the 9 of Wands is saying to stick with it. Don't give up, don't give up, don't give up. Okay, what's the ego telling Gemini? Okay. Oh. Okay, more relationship stuff. Makes sense. Makes sense. So the ego is telling, similar to Taurus a little bit here, this theme of defensiveness, right? So eighth house is about other people. So it could be a marriage partner, somebody that you're sharing resources with, right? Sharing your resources with. So someone that you live with, that you're close to, Gemini. And so defensiveness. So this ego is convincing you that everyone's out to get you, right? And don't trust anybody that comes too close. This is the intimacy, right? The intimacy house. So don't keep that hand up. You can't trust that person, right? So you become defensive by using your intellect, Yeah, so arguing with other people, you can make the other person feel guilty. So that fits in with this tarot reading for the general, right? The ego is the guilt. So we're either projecting our guilt onto others or we're feeling guilt ourselves. And this can be all unconscious, right? It's the eighth house, subconscious. It's just that projection of guilt can be so quick, especially if you're a Gemini, right? You're totally this Knight of Swords. The projection can really happen fast. But you're maturing now, and maturation is creating this gap between you, the ego mind, and your soul, your greater self, so that you can see it, right? So Pluto in there would have slowed everything down so that you can see it, so you can see this dynamic. And remember, these are inherited traumas, right? From your could be from your family of origin, but they're even past lives. They come from a deep, deep place. So your boundaries could be like walls with this defensiveness, because this is all about setting boundaries too. So I saw this quote, and it said that there's the walls, like creating walls. That's defensiveness, is creating a wall, and boundaries is the door, is creating a door. There's a difference, right? So the wall is like the overkill. That would be the defensiveness, and that's to keep people out. And also, like Taurus, to avoid feeling vulnerable, like trusting another person, really letting them in, right? So this thing is with Pluto there and limitation. So this is limiting you with your partner. So maybe you're in a partnership now, but maybe you're not in a partnership, and maybe this is what's keeping the partner from coming in, right? That intimacy that's from coming in, because that's one of the when people are on their deathbeds and they have regret, one of their top regrets of people is I never let myself be seen, right? So this is limiting your growth. And it's going to affect your finances, right? Because it's the eighth house, this defensiveness. So this is also looking at your resources to help support you, right? With the Nine of Wands, and it's to look during these because it sounds like you're going through a challenging time, right? It's limitation, the shadow of limitation in the eighth house. That's finances. You got to look around, right? You have everything you need. Everybody has everything they need now in the present moment. But the mind and the ego won't allow you to see it. It's like, okay, what do I have? What are my resources? And your resources could be inside, your internal resources, right? To really like tally them up. What do I have? What's with me right now? Yeah. And what advice does your higher self have to give you during this time, right? So it's about not giving up. Stand firm and allow the help to come in. Right? This is supportive energy, the eighth house. Allow this support to come in and really address this ego, right? And like I said with Taurus, is to go back, because all these patterns get laid down in that 0 to 7 years old. This is the emotional body work. It's like, why am I so defensive? Why don't I trust people? Well, it's going to go back to this, right? You couldn't trust your caregivers, right? Something happened, some kind of trauma happened, right? And this is the block in your emotional body, right? As you return back into vibrational frequency or the pathway of awareness, physical, mental, emotional, we have to address this emotional to get to the vibrational, right? And that means walking through this emotional body to get the spirit awareness on the other side, right? So it all goes back to childhood. And catch yourself. How am I, because Geminis are very intellectual, right? How am I using my intellect to be defensive, to keep people at an arm's length away? This is limiting you, right? This is limiting you. So allow the confidence, because you got the nine of wands, the confidence. Don't give up, right? Keep digging. Let Pluto keep digging and excavating these wounds. Let them come to the surface. Do your integration work, right? And then this confidence is going to come through, and you'll come out like raging. You know what I mean? Like good raging out of that 8th house when Pluto moves into Aquarius and moves into your 9th house, right? And it's about trusting your vision in the future and letting this defensiveness go. Yeah, that's what I see there. Okay. And the great thing about awareness, I mean, when you get to this other side and your awareness expands, you know, and you can see that little ego. You can't see him there, Gemini. But you get the gap and you're able to see those dynamics, those little self-sabotaging dynamics that I have that keep people away. And then I'm in victim and I'm listening to this, right? This ego, this voice in my head that's telling me I can't trust people. The ego doesn't want you trusting people. The ego doesn't want you letting other people in, right? Because there's so much power when we join in higher consciousness, right? The ego's food is conflict and fighting and arguing, and I'm different, and it's all about identity. I'm this identity, I'm part of this tribe, I'm this religion, right? This fighting, division, right? Doesn't want people coming together and joining. And that's a hot tip right there, $1 billion tip I'm laying down for you right now, is if you have judgmental thoughts about someone, negativity coming out, that is a sign that you need to join with that person. Do you need to join and talk about this? It's like, no, you just need to be in each other's aura, right? Because the ego makes up all kinds of stories, and it's usually for those people that you're supposed to be joining with, that you have something to learn from, and vice versa, right? So to watch that, it's like, oh, I got a call, and I'm gonna call my friend up, and I'm just gonna join. I'm just gonna be with them, and then it completely dissipates all the judgment and all the mental noise in your head that the ego, right, is yammering at you to keep you separate. Okay, that's Gemini. And then let's go for Cancer. 1331. Cancer. And Cancer's in the 7th house. So the shadow of limitation is in the 7th house for Cancer. So you want to, if you just hopped on Cancer, rising sun or moon, to go to the beginning to learn more about the shadow pattern. Okay. And it's a very mutative new moon for you, Cancer. Okay. So feeling limited, the 7th house is all about the other. So that could be your partner, your marriage partner, or it could be anyone you have a contract with, anybody, the other. There's you, and then the 7th house is everybody else. Okay. So feeling that limitation. Oh, that makes sense. Let me just get another card here, the tarot card. So feeling limited by other people, right? So with shadow work, it's not about the other person, right? So what you're being called to do, what we're all being called to do, Cancer, is to go within, right? Don't be distracted by the external. Well, it's them, right? That's what the ego will tell you. It's them. They're limiting me. If they just did this, then everything would be okay. The shadow's not coming from the other person, right? The shadow's the source. The shadow's coming from you, so that you can see and feel and experience this shadow of limitation so you can transcend it. So it's about accepting, right? Accepting this is what it is in this relationship with this other person. Whatever it is, I'm just going to accept it, and I'm going to know without a doubt that this is serving me to heal and to evolve. It's all about your evolution. It's not about getting along with people. It's about you evolving as a soul, having a spiritual experience. Okay, what do we got for Cancer? This one's screaming. Okay. Oh, the same one as Taurus. You want to look back at Taurus. Okay. So this is about working with people, Cancer, rising sun or moon. You got the Three of Pentacles, just like Taurus, and this is about work. It's about working with other people. It's about collaborating and coming together and working with other people, right? And then you've got the ego telling you, what would other people think? What would other people think? That's the ego. Okay. So maybe you have an idea. Maybe there's an opportunity, right? This is new moon. An opportunity coming to you through another person, partnering with another person, right? And then the ego is like, well, what would other people think of this? What would other people think of this? That's what the ego is telling you. What would my community think? What would my friends think? If I did that, if I followed my heart, if I followed my intuition, if I followed my happiness, right? What if I did that? Well, people would judge me. People would judge me. So whatever that is, it's a fear of judgment, and it's a fear of rejection. It's fear of rejection. It's a fear of being the outsider too. With this is all about you, right? Because it's in you in the 7th house. So feeling limited by judgment, this fear of judgment. And you see how this can motivate us? If you've got this, like I'm listening to my mind and my ego to avoid being judged by other people, and this is how I live my life. I only partner up, or I'm only in a relationship with these kinds of people. He or she looks really good on paper, right? This is my criteria, right? That it keeps you very limited, right? There's something trying to come in with other people, and it's around work, right? So a work scenario with you, Cancer, but it keeps you limited, because then you're not living your own life, right? And Cancers like to cling onto the old. They're all about the past, right? Because they're ruled by the moon. Cancer is to let that go. You got to live your own life. You can't live other people's lives, you know? And really with judgment, it's all about your own self-judgment, right? That's what judgment is. The fear, I'm so afraid other people will judge me. No, you're afraid of your own self-judgment. The other people they're just a puppet. They're channeling whatever's going on in your head and how you think, right? So you have to be okay with who you're choosing. Let your soul choose. Don't let your ego choose. Yeah. And it's just that's what I see, is just dealing with that rejection. Well, if I did that, if I really followed my heart and my intuition, who comes up in my mind that I'm afraid of their judgment? And then you just go there and you just feel it. Because what I say 1,000,001 times in almost all my videos is, it doesn't matter if somebody rejects you. People are going to reject you. right? That's just life. The problem is when you reject yourself, right? That's the real problem. This is when you're rejecting your own authenticity. That's the problem, not when other people reject you. Yeah. Anyway, Pluto and the Sun are going to show you where these dynamics are, right? And right away, like a broken record, it goes back to the 0 to 7-year-old, right? Of the being judged and criticized and rejected from this 0 to 7 years old. And that's your work to do, right? That's your work to do. And then you go through this emotional body, and then you get to spirit awareness, and then it doesn't matter. That person can judge you and disapprove of you and your choices, but you're up here, and then you see it in reality. Oh, that person is just having their experience of me and my choices. Maybe I'm triggering them, maybe because they feel limited in their beliefs and the choices they make, right? And they're afraid of being judged. You can see that more clearly. This is all about being your authentic self. Okay. Anything else for Cancer? Also, I just want to say is to watch your own self, right? If you're judging other people, if it's going the other way, I'm judging other people. I'm not working with these people because that person swears, right? I've seen this with people, spiritual people. I can't work with that person because they cuss and they swear. Immediately, all the other good points are gone. It's just they swear, and this is what the mind does. It focuses on one thing and then it expands it, right? What would other people think? Oh, they're crass or they're rude because they had a cuss word come out of their mouth, right? I can't work with someone like that. And meanwhile, there's the divine bringing you this gift, right? This person could be completely authentic and true, and they cusp. It's about acceptance. Accept that person for how they are. Accept the gift that's coming to you, right? This support, working with this person, right? That's what I see with Cancer, is to watch your own judgment too. Okay, that's for Cancer. So let's go for Leo. And Leo's in the 6th house, of course. So if you just jumped on, go back to the timestamp to find out what this shadow is all about, the shadow pattern. So it's the shadow of limitation, and it's in your 6th house. This is for the new moon. And that's your area of work. That's your area of work. So feeling limited in your work. So this isn't like sole purpose career. This is like the work that you have to do every day. You may or may not like it. Leo, it's something you have to do every day. It's also your house of health. Okay. I just want to get a card, 2 cards, to know where this is going. I have a few places I want to go with this. Okay. Where's Leo? This one here. Oh. It's echoing to the general read, Leo. Rising sun or moon. Because this is what we got for the general read, what we're leaving behind. You got the Knight of Swords. So in terms of your work, because you're a fire sign too, right? Is all about action, right? Taking action. I'm just going to do it, and then I'll think about it later. Let's see what the ego is saying to put it together. And Capricorn's been in your rules your 6th house, but Pluto's been in there since 2008, so you've been revamping your relationship with work. Okay, what's the ego telling Leo? This one right here. Oh. So fits with Pluto. Pluto. Okay. So that's the general read. You can go back and listen to that if you want. Okay, so you've got the Knight of Swords, and that's like I'm going in, I'm listening to my mind, I'm going to take care of this, I want it done yesterday, right? So impatience. It's all about impatience. It's not about, right? The mind is like a computer. It's about avoiding pain, seeking pleasure. That's what it does. This is fast thinking. It's about action, and there you go. And it's ruled by Capricorn. It rules your 6th house. It's all about steady, right? So you can be impatient with the work that you have to do, because like down here with the general read again, it's the King of Pentacles. That's the foundation. So it's the long haul, right? Showing up every day in your routine, because Leo likes excitement, right? Leo wants excitement, wants drama, right? Wants stimulation, right? Stimulation. That's this Knight of Swords. And the energy is like, no, take your time. Take your time. And so what we have here is control. This is the ego card here, is control. So to take it back to the emotions, I'm avoiding feeling something around work in my day-to-day routine, right? So the shadow of limitation is like, is anything going to change? Everything's like stuck. It's Groundhog Day over and over and over and over and over again. Boring, 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 boring. Right? I just want to move out of this. This is the Knight of Swords. I just want to be through this. And then there's the limitation, the shadow of limitation. It's like, no, you can't use this strategy, right, Leo? So what this ego is to go back to the 0 to 7-year-old, because this is about controlling emotions. It's about trying to control your emotions around what are the feelings that come up. And you may say, well, Michael, I don't feel anything. I just feel numb, right? That's the problem. I want to feel something. Leo wants to feel good, right? It's this ruled by the sun. Wants to be optimistic and have fun and be creative. But I'm numb. Well, that's a feeling, right? The numbness is a feeling. It's like a frozen lake, right? There's nothing, there's no movement. There's emotional body is movement. It's all about movement. Where's my, it's the wave, right? The emotional body. That's when you let this is when you let it, you're not doing your emotional work, right? And the pressure is building and building and building. You have to think of water. It's emotional body, right? So it's frozen, right? So your emotional body is frozen when you feel numbness, where you're not feeling anything. That's right. Leo rules the heart. That's not a good place for you to be, is numbness. Well, you have to have patience. That's what Capricorn's teaching us. Patience, right? The 60 is all about patience. Capricorn, patience, patience, patience. Patience with yourself. Patience with that inner child, that 0 to 7-year-old. Because that's where it's coming from. That's the root of it. And then the feelings will start to move, right? So maybe your parents and your caregivers weren't patient with you. You had to shut down, right? That's how this happens. Shut down, suppress, repress. Well, be patient with yourself, right? And then the numbness will start to clear. And then you'll have movement, right? You'll feel your emotions again. So you got to watch control, trying to control yourself, right? So this is what we do. We either sedate and numb out our emotions, with food and whatever our addictions are, sex, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. Or we try to control, right? And we do that. We can try to control other people, because other people will trigger this, right? Other people will trigger this. Our situations will trigger this, because the universe wants us, that movement of the emotional body. That's our evolution, right? So trying to control your day, right? trying to control your day, because this is everyday work, right? But what we're really trying to control is those emotions from moving. Yeah. So this also fits with your health too, because the sixth house is also about health. Yeah. So in terms of the work is acceptance, because that's acceptance and justice. Those are the gifts, and justice is just is. This just is. This is the situation, the experience I'm in. I'm accepting it, that this is the work that's required. Yeah, it's not fun, right? It's not fun, but I'm going to be present with it. I'm going to be present with it. I'm not going to try to control it, right? I'm not trying to control it, because what I'm really trying to control is the feelings that want to move, right? That want to move. And then in your health, the same thing is accept your state of health as it is now. And Capricorn teaches us the shadow of limitation, gift of acceptance, teaches us to just keep showing up every single day. The sixth house, right? Routine. Show up every single day. And it's about balance. It's about bringing balance to your life too. Work and rest, relationship, not to go into extremes, Leo. And that's the challenge in the general read, is not to go into extremes. It's Two of Pentacles energy, you know? Yeah, be patient with the process, because you're building something of long term, Leo. Anything else for Leo? Nope. Okay, let's go for Virgo. Virgo. That should be 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Virgo, the shadow of limitation is in your 5th house. And if you want to learn more about this shadow, go back to the beginning, the timestamp, to learn more about how this works. This is very mutative energy, this moon, and it's also the 6th line, so it's doubly mutative. And it's just hours before the human design new year, when the sun moves into the 40, as you can see, it's 60.6. And then it moves into the 40.1. And that's the new year on January 21st. Just hours after. So feeling limited with your children, if you have children. Feeling limited in your creativity. Feeling limited in romance and fun. Having fun, that's the fun house, is pleasure. The 5th house is all about having pleasure. What do we got for Virgo? What's the card for Virgo? It's that one screaming. Oh. It's your relationships, Virgo. So we're going to go for romance. So feeling limited in romance. So remember, with romance, it's about energetically, it's about being emotionally connected to something. So in this case, with someone. So feeling limited by that. Not feeling emotionally connected, maybe with your partner. Right? Maybe your partner's really good in other areas. I was talking to this woman the other day, and she was talking about her husband. What's the ego telling Virgo? This one right here. Oh. She was talking about her husband. And she was saying he's really good at fixing things, right? Around the house and doing this and that, but to communicate about real things, and she's really starting to commit to her spiritual journey, right? And they've been married like 35 years, something like that. And she was saying that, yeah, that she really misses, and she's actually a Virgo too, a Virgo sun. She was missing this emotional connection, being able to communicate with him about things that she really, that she found meaningful. and that she was getting into and excited about. But then she was starting to appreciate him, and I said, that's a good exercise to do, right? To really appreciate his strengths. And it's like, yeah, if you need something fixed around the house and, you know, good manager of material resources and things like, very traditional male, right? This guy. But if you need emotional support or something like that, no, he's not your guy. But just the focus on an acceptance, right? Because this is the shadow of limitation, but the gift of acceptance is accept him, accept your romantic partner 100% of his strengths. Don't want him to be different or not want him to change, right? And it's just to go into that gift of acceptance. Okay, I'm accepting his limitations. He's limited in this area, right? But he's very strong in this area. And then just to give unconditional love, right? For the person, how they are. Because so often people, they get together, they start dating, and they see that person as a project, right? Well, I can make this person change, right? And it's like, no, you got to accept them 100% as they are, right? How they show themselves to you. Because you can't change anybody, right? She can only change herself, and then like her relationship's a lot smoother now since she just accepted that. She's not looking to get that need fulfilled. And usually when that's the case, when we're looking outside of ourselves, right? This is the cross of the sleeping phoenix is teaching us is self-reliance, is to give that to myself, right? To give that to myself. So this is... So let's go. So the limitation is around romance, and then you got the Lovers card. So it's about your relationship, right? Feeling limited in that area of romance and emotional connection and fun and having fun, right? And then you got the rejection. The ego card is rejection. So feeling rejected by your partner in the fifth house, your romantic partner. And also you may be rejecting that other person before they reject you, right? So this is rejection. To look at this shadow of limitation is to always go within, right? Always go within first. And so we have to go back to the 0 to 7-year-old, right? Where you were rejected as a child. So this could be bringing up this wound, like this, I'm being rejected by my romantic partner, and he's not fun, and he's not creative, and he's not giving me joy and play, and I really need that. Well, it's serving you. That's like to accept that limitation, that limitation that I'm not getting it from outside myself. I want it outside myself. That's what the ego is saying. You got to go back to this wound. This is one of the 6 primal wounds of humanity. Go back to that little child, that 0 to 7-year-old that was rejected, right? So if you're feeling that rejection by your romantic partner, it's turning you back in on yourself. Like, don't expect that person to give you, right, what you want. You've got to give it to yourself, because it's really this wounded inner child that wants that, right, to be accepted. So back to the gift, right? This is about accepting yourself. It's about accepting yourself, right? This is the house of the inner child, Virgo, right? So it's about accepting your inner child, bringing that wounded inner child that felt rejected, right? From 0 to 7 years old. So become the true lovers, which is like your male and female energies coming together in an alchemy, right? That's what divine love is. You bring those two together, because our whole relationships are being revamped for the cross of the sleeping phoenix in 2027. We have to be not codependent on each other anymore. We've got to be self-reliant, and then we're whole onto ourselves. That doesn't mean we're not in relationships. No, we're in relationships, but it's a mature place. It's an emotionally mature place. And that means completing our childhood, That's what emotional maturity is. We're completing our childhood, right? That's not completed, not on this planet, right? But only you can do that. You can't rely on another person to do that work for you. So it's a unity, right? Because it's ruled by Gemini, the Lover's card. So it's bringing you in unity. Yeah. What else do I want to say? Yeah, it's just accepting your partner, accepting whatever experience you're in right now. And Pluto and the Sun are going to show you some deep things that you may not want to see about yourself, or it's been so hidden, right? Maybe that little inner child, that need. Oh, I've always had this need that I wanted that other person to take care of me. And then it comes up and you can see it, right? That's what evolution is. You see it and then you feel it and then you move into this greater awareness, right? That's doing emotional work, going through that emotional body to the other side into expansion, right? So don't go into guilt, right? Just forgive yourself now. I see, right? I see the moon. I see that moon now. What's been these fears and shadows that have been hidden from view from me. Yeah. Okay, that's what I got for Virgo. And let's go for Libra. 11. Okay. Okay. Let's go for Libra. 1, 2, 3, 4. Libra rising. Sun or moon has the shadow of limitation. And if you jumped on, go back to the beginning to learn more about the shadow pattern. It's very mutative. The new moon is in the 60, which is the shadow of limitation, the gift of acceptance in the city of justice. So feeling limited by your mother. The 4th house rules the mother. And your inner self, so your emotional self, right? The moon rules the 4th house. And Pluto's in there digging up a truth, a deep truth, a deep, deep shadow for you, Libra. Yeah. Psychology, too. It's a psychological house, the 4th house. The 4th house, too. Let me just do a card for Libra. The 4th house is the karma that you've inherited from your mother, passed down from your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother. Okay, what do we got for Libra? This one, yeah. Oh. So with that placement there, with Capricorn there, this would be like I've got to be the Capricorn, which is a male energy, Capricorn. For the women, the men are weak. The men may have been weak in your family, with your mom, it could be a wound that was passed down, Libra. But I have to be the male and the female, right? I have to be the responsible one. Like there wasn't a male presence that was strong, right? And strong and stable, but I had to take on that role. And there you are in the 4th house, and what we're being called now to do is surrender, right? To surrender to this energy. And we're all becoming more feminine in our nature, right? It's all about letting things come to us, right? It doesn't matter if you're a male or female. So there can be a real distrust, right, Libra? And that goes back to the 0-7-year-olds, right? So Capricorn in the 4th house. Capricorn's got no time for emotions. Capricorn's got no time for this, right? I got to get food on the table. I got to deal with all these fires and these stresses of life. I got no time for this, right? What's that going to give me? That's what Capricorn says. Well, now it's going to give you a lot, because this is our evolutionary process that we have to embrace the emotional body. And this is the 4th house, Libra, for you. And Pluto's been in there since 2008, digging up this buried emotional wound, right? Yeah. As we go back to the vibrational, right? You have to go physical, mental, emotional, and then you get back to the frequency vibrational. That's the evolutionary process that we're in right now, right? So it means like going within to the source and feeling your way through life, not thinking, strategizing. That's Capricorn. So it's been limiting you. Clearly, if you're all in your head, not your emotions, you're going to be limited. You're off balance, right? You're off balance. Okay, let's see what the ego is telling you. What's the ego telling Libra? That one there. Ooh. You got a very mental cards, Libra. Well, Libra's an air sign anyway, isn't it? You got the Queen of Swords right there. Nobody messes with the Queen of Swords. So this could have been your mother, right? Not Queen of Swords is not like come and, snuggle with me. Right? Queen of Swords is like prickly, right? Prickly, very in the mental, right? It's the sword. So independent, right? Objective, maybe not a blurter, right? In terms of their communication. Not the nice, fluffy, inclusive language, right? Just like sharp and to the point and direct. Which is a great quality to have, but not a great quality for a mother, right? Because the child needs the nurturing, right? That's to receive. But if you got the mother that's wounded, right, has that wounding of the male not being present and that she couldn't surrender and really soften into her feminine self, then yeah, that your mother's going to have this wound too, right? So not this feeling needing nurturance, and the child needs that. That's a need. That's a currency for the child. Needs that unconditional love, right? So, so there's a lack there, and so this is limiting you, Libra. That's what this is showing you. That it's a limitation now, and you'll be seen with that. So this is with the Queen of Swords. They're very good with language, and they've got the agile mind. And look what we got here for the ego card. It's called the slippery fish, and this is all about the mind. This is the mind, and this is what you have to deal with, right? Is this ego is where's that picture? Right there. So you can't see him, but the ego is here. You got to leave this ego behind. Let's put this over here like that, right? So you got to leave this ego behind. And what do we have here? We got a slippery fish, right? So you're headed to this emotional body, the 4th house, right? That's really coming up. This sadness, this grief, maybe anger and fear coming up, right? And then you got this ego running at you, pulling your leg. You're trying to get through the tunnel, pulling your leg back with slippery fish. And slippery fish is not getting a straight answer, right? Very manipulative, the slippery fish mind, right? Won't give a straight answer to any question. I'm fine. Everything's fine, right? Master at deflecting. Maybe you've got someone in your life that's showing you this limitation, that there's a limitation in your emotional body, right? Well, you're the master of deflecting the attention off you onto that other person, right? Well, they got the problem. They're the problem, right? And then they convince that other person that I have the problem. Wasn't you. It's me, right? So really good at beating around the bush, right? This is staying in the ego to avoid any kind of confrontation. So the slippery fish mind can make you lie, right? Can make you lie, will feed you a lie, and then you become the parrot of that lie, right? So this can create a lot of problems in your relationships. So this is the limitation, right, of this, is the Queen of Swords, the slippery fish, Queen of Swords, right? I'm not going near my emotional body. And this is where you have to go. This is the pathway of awareness. This is your evolution. You have to go into this emotional body. So it's all about creating a structure, accepting yourself first, right? Because it's the gift of acceptance, Libra. Accepting that, oh, I have this dynamic, I have this wounding, I have this karma, maybe I've inherited from my mother, right? Of not being able to soften, not being able to be vulnerable, because I always had to be on my game, right? Didn't really trust my partner with the male energy, right? To accept it. I'm accepting this limitation that I have. And then this transcendence will start to happen, right? Then you create a structure where you can go through that, right? You can go to the other side. And there's tools to do this where you can get to the other side and not listen to that slippery fish mind keeping you away from your evolution, right? You're being called to go towards. So really the next couple days, like really open yourself up to intuitive guidance and what your soul wants to tell you. And you'll be shown the limitation, whatever it is, you know? Or you may even see it in your mother. If your mother's still alive, you'll see that limitation, because we have to rely on our intuition. We can't rely just on our mind anymore. We need our intuition. And our intuition needs emotional awareness, right? Our hearts are the Google translator for our intuition. When we're stuck up here, we are manipulated back and forth with the mind, right? So it's time to leave this Queen of Swords and slippery fish mind and really embrace this inner emotional work, this shadow work. And the 60 will let you know that, Libra. Okay. Anything else for is acceptance? That's the message, is to accept. You know, we all have a wound. We all have our cross to bear. Okay. So let's go for Scorpio. Scorpio. So Scorpio is in the third house, the shadow of limitation. So you can go back to watch the beginning to find out more about this shadow for this new moon. And Pluto, Sun, and Moon are all in this shadow of limitation, and it's in your third house. So this is about your thinking. Third house rules thinking, rules the way you communicate, your communication, and siblings, sisters or brothers. So let's get the card out and we'll see for Scorpio. And Pluto rules Scorpio. So you've been it's been in there since 2008, right? So your ways of communication and speaking are radically changing. Right? Pluto demands transmutation, like completely changed. The butterfly, right? That's what Pluto wants, Scorpio. And Scorpio loves that stuff. They're the sign of transformation. And not afraid to go into the depths, right? Scorpio, they like to get to the truth. With other people anyway. Maybe not themselves. Okay, there's Scorpio. Okay. So we got conflict. Let me just see what the ego card is for you. So you got the Five of Wands in there. So this is conflict. So conflict in your way of communicating. So maybe conflict with your sibling, like your brother or sister. Competition. It's a competitive card too. The great thing about the Five of Wands, it's not like a permanent long-term conflict. It's just it's brief. Okay. There's Scorpio there. Okay. So you got the conflict cards. You can see them all battling with the wands. Okay, around communication. So this could be confronting, where you can experience this shadow of limitation. Scorpio is being confronted by other people, right? With your communication style, but you're not hearing. So that's a limitation. It's like you're being confronted by it, but you're not listening. You're not letting it in. And it's limiting your perspective, right, on what's really going on. So you have to remember, Scorpio, that you can't personalize things, make things personal, because this is what the ego wants you to do. Where's Mr. Ego? That's the ego, the voice in your head that you believe is you, right? This foreign entity wants you to believe that it's them. It's personalizing. It's them. They want to. They power, right? Scorpio and Pluto are all about power. They want to power over me. I've got to power over them with my intellect, right? I got to top them. I got to be on top of them. This is what the ego says, and this is personalizing things instead of taking a step back and detaching, right? And seeing the dynamic and seeing it as the divine is trying to get a message to me through another. Maybe you're not listening to your intuition, Scorpio. Maybe you can't hear it. This is so loud in your head, right? That ego, that the divine is trying to get this message to you. It's to confront you. Like you're in a limit. You're limited in your communication. You're limited in your thinking. You need to expand, right? But that ego is like personalizing. It's that person, right? So the ego card here is unlearning. So you learn things, right? You learn things and you grow and evolve. Well, you grow and evolve by unlearning things that are not correct for you anymore. That's the limitations, right? The limitations. So letting go of old belief patterns that you've inherited, and it's around communication and it's around your thinking. So the secret weapon here with the shadow of limitation in the third house is you get to choose am I gonna participate in this conflict? You have a choice. We all have a choice. The victim the victim or the ego will let you believe that, I have no choice. I'm completely reactive. It's like, no, you have a choice. You have a choice. Each and every moment you have a choice. I have a choice to engage in this conflict or not. I have a choice to listen to this ego or not. That's your choice. Right? And this comes with doing your emotional work because it goes back to your childhood, right? Maybe you felt really powerless as a child, right? Around your communication. Maybe you were told to shut up and to be silent and you shouldn't have a voice. And this brings up anger, right? So you felt anger as a child, but it got stuffed down. and repress, 0 to 7 years old. That creates a belief, right? So emotional patterning starts 0 to 7 years old. 7 to 14 is the mental, and that's when the beliefs come in. And the belief is, I always have to have a voice. I always have to have an opinion about something. These emotional wounds start to get triggered, I get angry with my communication, and then I lash out at other people, and I show them, I silence them, right? What was done to me, I do to other people to keep away from this pain, right? This pain, right? Fear, anger, grief, those are the pain right there. And so it's holding on to this conflict in this competition. It's like draining your energy, right? It's draining your energy. Okay. So that's limiting you. And then I was called to pick another card for you. And that's the Temperance card. So that's Major Arcana. And this is moderation. It's balance, right? So it's accepting. I have a wound. We all have a wound. We all have an emotional wound. Nobody is exempt from this. We're all connected, all of humanity. And Scorpios can lie. Other signs can lie and say, I'm fine, everything's great. It's them. And as soon as that's coming out of someone's mouth, I know right away that that's who's talking, right? Because this ego that talks, it's the same ego that we all have in our head. It's not creative. It's the same words even, right? Same phrases. I know that it's the ego that's talking. So this is saying to be, there's healing for you, Scorpio, and you love transformation. This is how to do it, right? It's to bite your tongue. Don't bite the bait. For this new moon, make that commitment, maybe for the moon cycle, 29.5 days. I'm not going to get into conflict with other people. I'm going to keep it inside. I'm not going to lash out. I'm going to keep it inside. I'm going to contain it, right? That's the structure for you, right? This gift of acceptance. This is all about creating structures. This is how you're going to have transformation. I'm keeping it inside. I'm not going to lash out. I so want to lash out, but I'm not. I'm going to keep it inside, and I'm going to go within, right? And I'm going to feel what comes up for me. What's coming up for me? This is this is how you're going to transmute it, right? You're going to walk through that tunnel. Finally, you're going to walk through that tunnel. You're going to leave the ego behind, walk through the tunnel. That's where your healing is. This is the balance, right? The balance is listening and speaking. I'm going to start listening to myself more, not my ego. I'm going to listen to my true self, my authentic self more. I'm going to listen to this inner child, right? That was wounded from 0 to 7 years old. This is about peace, right? The Temperance card's all about peace. It's all about having patience with yourself too, right? And make peace more important than the conflict and the competition. I want peace, right? Doesn't matter. People will agree with you. Third house, right? People will agree with you. Some people will, some people won't. The people that don't, that's okay. You don't need that validation, right? So this is about staying in balance. That's what this is saying to you with the shadow of limitation in the third house, the new moon there. That you're going to begin a whole new cycle of new ways of communicating. Which, like, Pluto's been there, right, since 2008. So I'm sure that's really changing and shifting for you. Yeah. So be on the lookout for confrontations in the next couple days, right, from other people. And then confront yourself. Confront that ego. This is what we're afraid of. People are afraid of this, is confronting this, right? Confronting their own ego. Is this true or not? Is this really in my best interest? This voice in my head telling me to fight everybody, right? And compete with everybody and drain all my energy? I don't think so. I'm going to confront this. And you confront it by not listening to it, right? And then you feel, and then you go into these expanded states of awareness. So keeping calm, right? Temperance is saying keep calm, right? Keep calm before you react and respond, especially in communication. Yeah. Okay. That's good for Scorpio. Let's go for Sagittarius. And that's in the second house. So Sagittarius, you can go back to the beginning to learn more about this shadow pattern. The new moon, it's very mutative. And it's the shadow of limitation. It's the gift of acceptance and justice. And it's playing out in your second house. The new moon is in your second house. This is your finances and your self-esteem. Sense of self. So you may be experiencing limitation in your finances. Right? Not feeling like you got enough resources, just feeling limited. Can't seem to get above your head above water with your finances. Okay. Let's see. And you always, if you're having financial issues, you always have to go back to your sense of self-worth. You like go to the root of it. Okay, what do we got for Sagittarius? This one right here. Oh. Okay. So this could be not accepting yourself, right? Limitation, it's the gate of acceptance, but it's also about not accepting yourself, right? Your authentic self. Okay, let's see what the ego's got to say here. What does the ego have to say for Sagittarius? What's the ego got to say for Sagittarius? That one right there. Ooh. Okay. Synchronicity. You got to love it. You got the Fool card. Fool. Fool. And this is major arcana. So this is really important. You're in an important lesson right now. And then the ego card, you got the money temptation. So this is all about money. You can't see that money temptation. It's see the mouse trap with the bills in there, 20 bills. Okay. So limitation. So something, the energy is showing you, Sagittarius, that you have severe limitations, and it's going to be connected to your sense of self, your sense of self-worth, right? So with the Fool card there, it's like you're about to go on a new journey, right? A whole new adventure, a new beginning around this new sense of self, who you really are, right? Your authentic self. And so the Fool, you can see the Fool there is just about to jump off the cliff, right? He's got a little tramp thing with the pole and his stuff, right? Very, very little, just what he needs, right? And then jumping, just trusting the Fool's journey. So this is the very beginning of the major arcana. So that's what this new moon is telling you. So this is about trusting. It's about trusting the divine and taking that first step. You're about to take this first step, and it's around your finances. Maybe not playing it safe anymore, right? Not going the status quo route. This is with this shadow of limitation rules, right? This just the way that here's the path, and my parents did it this way, and my grandparents did it this way. Most of the world does it this way, so I'm going to do it the same way. Well, you're walking away from that. That's what this Fool card is saying. So this is about bringing playfulness and spontaneity into your life. You're becoming the adventurer, right? Maybe not so much focused on the material, right? The material, not choosing jobs and career just for money, right? That's what this is saying, this money temptation trap. This has been a limitation for you. And it's such a trap for people, right? Well, I'm not going to follow my dream because I'm going to play it safe and I'm going to hold on to this job, right? And then I'll do, say you're a writer, and I'll do my writing when I get home at night. And meanwhile, this job is completely sucking you dry, right? Every ounce of vitality and joy and creativity out of you. This is the money temptation. Well, I'm just doing it for money. All the little things, they seem like little things on the external material world, are huge things in the spiritual world, right? Because you're compromising your soul here, right? This is this shadow of limitation, that this is actually a huge limitation for you, Sagittarius. And the promise, and wait, these promises are going to be coming this year. This false security. Well, we'll take care of you, right? Well, the universal basic income. Yeah, we'll take care of you, right? Comfort and convenience. You just need to give us every bit of freedom, right? And become our slave and become enslaved to us and codependent on us. And then the exchange is we control. We can completely control you. That's the false security. That's the money trap, right? The money trap. So this is the choice point that we're in right now. You know, these two roads, this choice point. Am I going to go for false security? Am I going to choose this, Sagittarius? Where's my little g? I'm going to make little g into big G, right? This is codependency, the Titanic. These institutions are going down, Sagittarius, and they're going to be coming. Titanic is coming with money temptation. Stay on the boat with us, right? It's safe here. Meanwhile, that boat is flipped up and about to go down into the water, right? All these institutions are going down. We're seeing them crumbling. They're dismantling, right? And the money temptation will come. There's no safety here, right? The world is changing so fast, right? At rapid speed as we come to 2027, right? That iceberg's coming in 2027. It's time to jump off and make big G into big G. Little g's not big G, right? And if your heart is open and your emotions are flowing, you know that. You know this truth. Truth is a feeling. It's a frequency. It's not something you logically figure out with your mind, right? So you want to jump off this. This is the money trap, codependency. And you want to go to self-sovereign. It's like big G is inside me, and that's who I obey, right? I obey big G. Big G's not going to come out with this money temptation, you know, with false security. The real security is inside you. So it's about having faith in the divine. That's what this is saying too with the Fool card. Having faith in the divine, right? Not the promise of false security. That's a trap. That's a total trap, right? So you want to follow your intuition, and then the money will follow, right? So all the resources are in, this is what I say to people. That's a Taurus house, the second house. All the inner resources are inside you. And then the money follows that. Those are the real resources, not the pieces of paper and the coin on the external world. They're inside you. So that's what this is saying, is to trust in that you're about to see a limitation, right? In this money temptation. That's what the ego will pull out. Well, we'll give you security. You don't know about this. This is all going away too, right? We don't know what the world's going to look like. So we have to trust in our own inner self, our higher self. So in terms of childhood, right, we've got to go back to this. This is Sagittarius, 0 to 7 years old. This is the work, right? We're evolving into this emotional awareness system, and we're being confronted with our emotions. So the little tiny tot, 0 to 7 years old, not feel like you're worthy, not right. Self-worth issues. If you're having money problems, you got self-worth issues. So feeling the fear, the anger, or the sadness, right? And then going through that tunnel into spirit awareness, right? But the ego is going to come out with the money trap, right? So the ego comes out. You're, where is it? So you're about to move into this, like I'm ready to do this emotional work. And then the ego comes out with the money trap. But what about the money? What about this and that? And you got to go into like, no, I have this self-esteem and the self-worth that the resources are coming from me, right? That I don't have to compromise myself or enslave myself to a system that's going down like the Titanic, Sagittarius. So that's what it's saying. So if you're confronted, because money issues will bring up your self-worth issues, right? Because this is how we conflate our self-worth. We conflate it with money. They'll come up. So it's just about feeling it, right? So if you got money problems, you got self-worth problems, you got an emotion's not flowing for you, right? It's water, currency, right? It's currency. It's got to be moving. That's healthy self-esteem. Those emotions have to be moving. So watch that. Pluto and the sun and the moon will show you, right? Illumination will come. Oh my God, I can't believe I compromised myself for little pieces of paper and I got trapped before in my past experiences. I'm not falling for it again, right? I'm trusting in the divine. That's what we're learning. Okay. So anything for Saturn or for Sagittarius. And it's about accepting the limitation, whatever limitations you're experiencing in your life around money, just accept it. You're not going to transcend it by running out and listening to the ego and falling for those money traps. Oh, I have a money problem. I just have to do this. It's not the way it works. You're here to evolve and to grow as a spiritual being having human experiences. You go inside. That's the source of the problem, is inside, right? And it's about feeling. That's it for Sagittarius. Okay. And let's go for Capricorn. And of course, it's in your first house. Okay, let's get some cards here. And in March, Pluto is going out of your first house and moving into Aquarius for the Capricorns. I know quite a few Capricorn risings and suns, and they've been through it since 2008. Lots of physical problems too, rashes, and teeth, and just craziness. Okay. So this is for Capricorn rising, sun, or moon. If you want to learn more about the shadow of limitation, go back to the beginning to learn more about this shadow. And this is the new moon. It's in this shadow. It's the gift of acceptance in the city of justice. And this is about you, right? The first house is all about you. Okay. Let's do, I just want to get a card here for Capricorn. So feeling limited in your appearance, by your identity. Maybe you're holding on. Maybe you're holding on to an old identity, Capricorn. That's limiting you now. So it could be mother. Mother's a huge identity. To be a mother. And you're being called to transcend it. It doesn't mean like, oh, I was wrong. I took on this identity as mother. Well, you have to take it on. It's a role. Mothers have to take on that role. But it becomes a problem when you're attached. You're overly attached to it. Right? Like some people, they hold on to that identity and they're even mothers to their friends, Capricorn. not only to their children, but to their friends. Okay, what do we got for Capricorn? What's the ego telling Capricorn? What's the ego telling Capricorn? That one right there. Ooh, we got a repeat. I forget who got the defensiveness card. Might have been Cancer. I think it was Cancer. Which makes sense. Capricorn's the opposite of Cancer. So the ego is telling you to be defensive, which is a limitation. So that ego, just quickly, that's the voice in your head. Okay, that's worm tongue. I'm just giving the ego a form. The voice in your head, the foreign entity, that's yammering constantly. Most people on the planet believe that they're this ego in their head, and they're not. So the ego is convincing you that everybody's against you. Capricorn in the first house. Everybody's against me. Everybody's trying to get something from me. So I don't trust anyone that gets too close. Don't trust anyone that gets too close. So you can become defensive when you feel people are getting too close to you. You get the hand up. And what are you're defensive using your intellect, right? Using your intellect. So if there's an argument or a confrontation, because it's limitation in your first house, so you're being confronted where you're limited, right? In terms of your identity, right? Is you turn the argument against the other person, right? So let's go to the evolutionary process here. Is we're moving from the mental awareness system into the emotional awareness system. This is 0 to 7 years old. So this is where these patterns get laid down. Okay, so we're moving through this evolutionary pathway of awareness, Capricorn, from the physical, only experiencing life as physical, to the mental, only experiencing life through the physical and mental. And then we're moving to the emotional. This is the pathway of awareness. And then we're returning to frequency vibrational. So we have to deal with these emotional imprints that happen from 0 to 7 years old. This is where this pattern comes from, this defensiveness pattern, right? So emotional could be something happened to you from 0 to 7 years old where you were judged, maybe judged and rejected for being your authentic self. You're just you, right? We're swimming in just emotional frequency from 0 to 7 years old. We don't know. We don't have this discernment. Like, mom's projecting on me. You know, she's rejecting me. She's really rejecting herself. We don't have that kind of awareness from 0 to 7. All we feel is the hurt. I'm being rejected by being myself, I feel sad about that, or I feel angry about it. Let's go with anger because it's defensive, right? And then you move from 7 to 14, and then the belief pattern gets formed, and that means I've got to protect myself from this wound, right? Do you see how this happens? So then you're confronted by somebody that you feel is rejecting you, ridiculing you, judging you, and then the belief pattern comes up, the defensiveness. I've got to protect myself. I have to protect myself. And I turn that argument, right? So what are you avoiding? Is that pain? Maybe the anger, the fear, and the grief. You're avoiding that pain, and you get defensive, right, with that other person. You don't let them in, and this is limiting you now. This is a limitation. Right. So that's the dynamic, how it works. And remember the evolutionary process right now, because remember you're evolving, Capricorn, as a spiritual being, having human experiences. That's why you're here on the planet, to evolve, to grow, to mature. Emotionally mature is to move through that emotional body, right? That's the work to do. Emotional body, and then spirit awareness is on the other side of it, right? And that's frequency and vibrational. That's on the other side. So you got that. So you're being confronted with your defensiveness. So it's about addressing this defensiveness. What's behind this defensiveness, this pattern It's a reaction. So deep, right? Because it goes way, way back, right? This defensiveness. And this is what the only thing it's protecting is your evolution. And then you've got the Six of Swords right there. You can't see that, but he's right going away. So this is moving out of difficulties. This is good news. This is good news for you, right? Which makes sense because March is coming soon with Pluto going into Aquarius. This is a rite of passage. It's a transition. It's moving out of this limiting pattern that you've been in of defensiveness, not trusting people, right? Not thinking everybody's against you. There's the divine bringing all the support to you, people to help you grow and evolve, and you got the ego with the hand up. No, it's them, right? So you know what it is? It's seeing angels as devils, and then seeing devils as angels, right? You can get into this kind of pattern. You're not seeing reality. You're not seeing clearly, and this is a limitation. It's keeping you from growing and evolving. Well, this is saying you're ready to move on, right? So what baggage are you carrying that you no longer need? This, like, put your dukes down. You know, I don't got to be fighting everybody all the time, thinking everybody's against me. It's draining my energy, right? And then what am I moving towards, right? Well, in terms of relationship, right? People that value you. They just want you to be yourself. They just want you to grow and evolve, right? They don't want anything from you. So this is about trust. Trust that you're going into the right place for you, and allow the feedback to come in. Don't, like I said in the other signs, don't personalize it, right? This is what the ego wants you to do, is personalize. Well, the ego will say, well, that person's out to get you. The person wants to ridicule you, get something from you. Don't listen to these lies, right? Let the feedback come in. And you let the feedback come in by feeling. It's by feeling. This is your intuition. It's not with your mind. It's with your feeling. What's the frequency of that person that's speaking to me? Oh, I feel love coming from them. I feel the love coming from them. But you're not going to be able to feel until you feel this, right? It's to let go and see the divine working through people to get you to this, to finally release this. And then to let go of this energy draining defensiveness pattern, right? Yeah. So this is about you moving into a whole new state of consciousness, right? Because this isn't your first house, you know? If there's a canary in a coal mine, it's the Capricorns, right? So you're moving into a whole new state of consciousness. That's what this is saying. And this is about exploring new areas. So to me, it's what you're exploring is yourself, which is unconditional love, right? That's you. You're on the other side of this, right? You are on the other side of that. That's unconditional love. That's what you're exploring now. And you don't got the hand up to the love anymore, Capricorn. You know, you don't need to have your hand up anymore. You can put your hand down and you can relax and surrender into the divine. So it's just about accepting where you're limited. You're limited in your emotional self, right? You're a Capricorn, right? Cancer's your shadow, the other side. They're all about the emotions, the moon. Yeah. What else? And maybe, like I said, with another sign, is to look at where your life is too structured, because limitation is about creating structure, right? Structures can serve us, like a sadhana practice. I get up at this time to this time, and then I create this container, and this allows the mutative energy to come in, the transformational energy, right? So, but then there's when it goes overboard, when every minute of your day is structured, and Capricorns can do that. It's all got to be work, work, work. There's no room for play. There's no room to relax, right? To really relax and not control your relaxation, but just relax and be spontaneous, be creative, right? If you're too much of that, then you've got to bring in more of, I got to loosen my structures more. I need just free time, spontaneous. I just need to be spontaneous for these many hours. Or if you're too loosey-goosey, then you need to bring more structure in, right? So it's about balance for the Capricorns. Anyway, this is all about expanding your identity, right? Because it's the first house, and how you show up in the world needs to change, and it can't be this with your dukes up, right? Expecting that everybody's out to get you. Okay, because you're avoiding, right? All you got your hand up to is love, unconditional love. Okay. Okay, let's go for Aquarius. Aquarius. And you've got the shadow of limitation in the 12th house. In the 12th house. Aquarius, rising sun or moon. So if you want to learn more about the shadow of limitation, go back to the beginning. It's very mutative, this energy, for this new moon cycle. So, let me just get some cards, because there's a lot of places to go with the 12th house. Okay. Well, the first thing we need to say is that it's an endings, like a big ending for you, of this dynamic of limitation, of feeling limited. And what's Aquarius? What do we got for Aquarius? Tell me what we got for Aquarius, please. Okay. So these patterns can go back to past lives, Aquarius, of this experience of feeling limited. I just need another card just to get focused for you. Okay. Let's see the ego. That one. Oh. I just want to do another one for Aquarius. Another one for Aquarius, please. Another one for Aquarius. Okay. Okay. So feeling limited in the 12th house. Feeling limited in the 12th house. And you've got the revenge card. That's what the ego is saying. Revenge. So this is like a past life dynamic. And then you've got the Knight of Wands too. So this is about being wounded in the past, feeling limited, wounded from your past life, and wanting to attack back. So being confronted by, these are deep, right? These patterns, especially in the 12th house, they can come out of nowhere, right? With the 12th house. It's like, where's this coming from? This anger, right? Of wanting revenge. And it could be like thoughts, right? That just won't leave, With certain people too that you meet, right? That you meet in this lifetime. And it could be with Knight of Wands type, because the royal cards can represent people. And the Knight of Wands is the player, right? Aquarius, they're like the player. They're the narcissist, right? Yeah. And so they can come across as very, very self-confident. They're not committed, right? They're not committed people. So you may have come across some players, right? And the players are coming from your past lives so that you can clear up some karma, Aquarius, with these people, right? So there could be some revenge coming up. So to look at that, like, okay, this energy of anger is like really coming deep from me with this person, but the reality of it, the surface doesn't make sense, right? I don't really know this person, and why did I get so invested in them so quickly? But you've got to remember that it's like past lives. It's like an accumulation of all these emotions, right? Of what you two went through in past lives, and maybe just not last past life, but the past life before that. So it's a cycle that's closing, this karmic cycle that's closing of revenge over these players, these non-committal type people, right? That are bringing up this energy that, you know, this is Pluto, right? Pluto brings up all the greebly stuff that we don't want to look at about ourselves. So this energy of revenge can come through as like accidents too, because it's got to come up. So it's going to manifest on the external. So it can come up with accidents and falling, or a car accident, or failures, or losses, right? Setbacks, general setbacks in life. And you're like, where is this coming from? Right? Well, it's coming from this revenge energy from your past life, right? That the ego wants this, like I said here, right? The overall reading, guilt, right? The ego wants payback, right? That person needs to feel their guilt of what they did to me, and I need revenge. I need to see that they're paying the price, right? So as a spiritual person, you're like, where is this coming from? This is crazy. I'm making this wrong, right? I'm limiting myself by not accepting it, right? Because it's the gift of acceptance to just allow a space for this. Like, oh my God, this is so intense, right? It's so intense, these feelings. So this is about karma, right? So with the revenge, how you work with this, first you got to feel it, right? You got to feel it, these feelings of revenge and this feeling of anger. And our past lives always, this is the doorway into our past life, is this 0 to 7 year old, because these patterns will get played out from 0 to 7 years old. It's just to feel, right? Feel the anger, right? And then the fear, and then the grief, and then you're through it, right? But what I see for you, Aquarius, is you're not even allowing it, right? A space. And that's the gift of acceptance, right? The gift of acceptance. And know that karma will take care of everything. You don't need to punish anybody. The ego doesn't need to punish anybody. That karma will take care of this, will take care of justice. This is the city of justice, right? And that means to just go into just is. Justice is balance. The balance will come. The scales will come back, right? Yeah. That's what I see here, and that somehow this cycle of revenge that you've been in, right, with these Knight of Wands type people, the narcissist, and taking advantage of you and exploiting you and all of that, that's all coming to an end, right? So to give this up, this anger, because this is destroying you and limiting you, right? So to me, it's about just accepting these feelings that are coming up, right? And maybe some things that have happened to you in childhood, right? This is the way in. Remember, we're the pathway of awareness, physical, mental, to the emotional, and then we return to the vibrational. And don't make them wrong, right? With the guilt here, because it can be, that's a spiritual house, the 12th house. We can feel guilt for even feeling that. No, nobody likes to feel that stuff, revenge and anger, but it's about having compassion for yourself, to don't get locked into this cycle If I have these revenge feelings, if I want to get back at that person, I feel guilty about that, right? It's this cycle of emotions is just to forgive yourself, especially when you don't understand, I don't understand the dynamic of what went on in our past life. I'm trying to understand it with the mind. It's like, it's way over the mind's pay grade. Right? I don't even know if it's real or not. Well, what's real are the emotions. That's what's real. That's what you can trust, is those emotions are coming up, and that's what's real. So you're just feeling them, integrating them, right? And go within. Don't be distracted by the external, right? You don't need to do past life regression. All you need to go is go in and feel what's coming up for you in the moment, right? Especially with these people that you're coming across, right? Because we're paying karma so quickly right now too, because everything's speeding up. The frequency of the planet's speeding up. Okay, and let's finish it off with Pisces. Pisces, rising sun or moon, is in the 11th house. So this is friendships. Your friendships, your network of people, right? Any groups that you belong to. Yeah. But it's not like one-on-one friendships, like this in the 7th house. This is like the groups, your little circle of friends. Well, there can be some limitation, the shadow of limitation. So you want to go back to the beginning to learn more about this shadow in this new moon. And Pluto and the sun in there, right? Pluto, the sun, and the moon in there is going to show you some truth about your friends, or the kind of friend you are. So this is the thing with the Aquarian age Pisces, is the masks are coming off. Like, there's no more hiding. So maybe someone you thought was a friend was not a friend. You learned something completely dark about them, right? They showed you something that's always been there, but the mask came off. You were able to see that. And it's been limiting you. Maybe it's been stopping you from real friends coming towards you. You know? And again, I mean, back to feeling, right? Felt perception. This is what we're moving into, this emotional awareness system. Your feelings are going to let you know. Like, how do you feel around your friends? Do you feel drained and exhausted after you spend time with friends? Do you feel small and, right? Your self-esteem just took a plummet when you're around particular friends. Well, you got to look at them, and then you got to look at, why am I addicted to spending time with this person that makes me feel this way? What's that about? Well, it's going to go back to your 0 to 7-year-olds, right? Like, this is, okay, what does this feeling remind me of? Oh, my mother used to talk over me like my friend talks over me. My mother used to never say thank you, just like my friend never says thank you. And I feel so low, and there's something wrong with me. I feel like I'm broken. Oh, just like I did when around my mother. You'll start to connect the dots, because there's a reason why these kinds of friends are in your life, right? Because there's an addiction there. Because this is what the child knows, right? This is what the child thinks love is. People that don't value me and talk over me and make me feel small, compete with me. Okay, what do we got for Pisces? Ooh, another repeat. Was it the same as Capricorn? I think it's the same as Capricorn. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me just get another card, Pisces. Here. It's also connected to your hopes and dreams and your future. So feeling being limited, something is limiting you and your hopes and dreams. Maybe you don't allow yourself to hope and dream. And something's being shown to you this new moon. Where's the Pisces? Is that the Pisces? That one right there. Let's do another one for Pisces. Another one for Pisces. Okay. That's better. Okay. So you got the Six of Swords again. I'm pretty sure it was Capricorn. So this is about moving away. So you're moving away from particular friends. You're moving away you're having your hopes and dreams limited for the future. Like you're moving away from that. This is good. What am I leaving behind? Maybe you're leaving behind some friends that they're a big black cloud over your head. Oh, don't hope for right. You'll be lucky with this little limited perspective of what your life could be. You know, we've got friends like that. Don't get your hopes up too high. You got to stay small, right? Can't shine too bright, right? But remember, it goes back to this, Pisces, back to your family of origin, right? This is where this wounding comes from. So this is about futuristic thinking too, 11th house. So letting this old baggage go, these old friends that you're addicted to because you're addicted to the feeling that those friends bring out in you, right? You're addicted to feeling horrible, basically. I know it sounds crazy, but we can get addicted to bad feelings as well as good feelings, right? Because it's a reminder. So what do you do here to move into the Six of Swords and move away? Well, you got to embrace this. You got to embrace your emotional body and feel it until they get to the other side, which is expansion, this greater sense of expansion, your greater self, right? That's the gift of acceptance and justice. So it's about not blaming yourself, but just accepting that, okay, these friends were in my life for a reason, to show me something. I was called to learn and grow through this group of people, and now I'm ready to let it go, right? I'm ready to forge ahead. I'm ready to move into better waters. And that means attracting better friends that are more aligned with your frequency, right? So you need to listen to Capricorn too, because there's a connection with you guys, Pisces and Capricorn. And you're ready to explore new areas. Maybe you've been limited in the types of friends you let in. Well, I'm not friends with people that are older than me, or I'm not friends with people that are younger than me. I'm not friends with people that aren't in this wealth bracket, or I'm not friends with people that are way over my wealth bracket. Like you bust out of those limitations, right? And then you got the perfectionist card, Pisces, right? So you see the rhino there on the treadmill trying to look like the unicorn, right? So this is about you're not good enough. So maybe in terms of your friendships, you've shot low in terms of your friends. Or you've got this dynamic. Well, I have a friend that's is always in trouble and always needs my help, so I can feel good about myself. Like Pluto and the sun will show you what your true motivations are there. I can't be friends with an equal or somebody that knows more than I do, right? Because I'm avoiding this feeling of this brokenness, right, from childhood. There can be that dynamic too. Pisces, you just got to go inside, right? You're Pisces. The answers will come to you, right? So this is about being extremely self-critical too. Yeah. So you're moving out of this, like moving out of the people that judge you for not being perfect. You're not going to need them anymore, right? When you face and confront your emotional pain, you're not going to need those people anymore, because you're not going to need to see this because you've dealt with it, right? Do you see how this works? And then you attract people that are more aligned with you in frequency. Yeah. So this perfectionism, that's just leading to the ego, leads right to the ego. This is ego. You're not perfect. You have this flaw. You have that flaw, right? That friend over there has this flaw and that flaw. Instead of just dealing with the emotions, that friend is in your life for a reason. It's not a mistake, right? So it's about moving on, right? Doing the work. I don't need you anymore to show me and reflect back to me my wounding. I'm moving on now to better waters. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the limitation. And your friends are going to show you, right? The limitation. Yeah, and accepting yourself, right? It's the gift of acceptance. And come back into balance. Okay. So that is everybody, right? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's just get my overlays off, yeah? So thank you for everybody for joining in. Right there. So thank you for everyone for sticking around. And they're long, but they just need to be. So if you come back, because some people had to jump off early because of the time zone stuff, I'll have it all time stamped for you too. So I guess my parting message with this new moon and the new year and everything coming up is to listen, to go within. Don't be distracted. Maybe turn off your phone, right? Tell your friends and stuff. I just need an evening to myself. Make it sacred, like a sacred evening for you. Whatever you do to relax and tune into your higher self. It could be even going into nature and really just listen for these downloads, right, that are coming. And this will be like your next step, right? Your next step. But this is not about being the Knight of Swords and barging in and just trying to avoid feeling and listening, because this is a pivotal time. 2023, I really feel, is a pivotal time. We're halfway to 2027, right? And to trust the divine and trust the messages that are coming, trust the people that are coming to you, right? Drop the defensiveness, all that. It's like the divine is working through everybody and everything and every situation for you so that you can come back to yourself, right? It's all about authenticity this year. Okay? Okay. So thank you, everyone, and Satnam Aloha, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.